Insurance Hotline.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, homeowners, when is the last time you checked your home title? Scammers are everywhere, and they're targeting your equity. With just a single forged document, they can file at the county. So don't wait until it's too late. Find out if you are already a victim today. Please go to HomeTitleLock.com. Use the promo code BILL to get a free title history report, plus a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. On this Thursday, did you know that fake news was started by Benjamin Franklin? Bet you didn't. In 1782, he created a phony newspaper that pounded King George and the colonists who supported the king. Old Ben would be surprised at today's media, I believe, because it is so audacious. Not only does the liberal press spin stories to damage political opponents like President Trump, it also ignores important situations that may put the president in a favorable light. Here's some backup. Last week, the national average for a gallon of regular gas fell to $2.95, down 8 cents from last year and falling. ABC and NBC News failed to mention that. Mortgage rates also falling, little noticed by the press. In addition, the stock market is booming, helping most American investors gain financial ground. Now, this is not boosterism for President Trump. It's simply a warning. Many good people are being misled by the American media. And overall, the press cannot be trusted in this country. Those people are not looking out for us. Back in a moment. The biggest sale of the year at All Family Pharmacy is here. Buy one, get one free this Black Friday week from November 24th to December 2nd. When you buy ivermectin and select others, you get another one free. Please go to allfamilypharmacy.com/bill, place your order online, licensed doctor reviews it, handles a prescription, ships right to your door. Don't miss out. This offer is just for 1 week only. Please visit allfamilypharmacy.com/bill today. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Koch with your first alert forecast. A cold day on deck for Thursday. Only talking highs into the lower 20s. Most of the day going to see feels like temperatures into the teens, into the single digits in some areas. Then as we have Thursday night and Friday, once again, going to be seeing overnight lows into the lower teens. Going to be looking at a slight warm-up into the upcoming weekend, dry until Saturday night and early Sunday morning, where we could see a light wintry mix possible. Then a warm-up continues on into midweek next week with highs into mid-40s. In the first alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Koch.
There's a lot to talk about today, St. Louis. Let's get the conversation started. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Sometimes your opponent doesn't see themselves as defeated. They don't give up. They just change their tactics. And that could be creeping its way back into your kids' or your grandkids' school. Hey, good morning. Mike Ferguson here, talking about critical race theory. We're talking about that Marxist mindset that many red states, including Missouri, have banned from public institutions, especially schools. So does that mean we won? Well, not yet. Not really. On Wednesday's program, we visited with Sarah Holliday from the Washington Stand, which, of course, is a media outlet for the Family Research Council, and looked at a new report on how several organizations, basically with ties to government funding through the Biden administration back in the day, but they still have the money, they are changing terms, they are changing names, they're changing titles, and looking for ways to reintegrate things like critical race theory and other Marxist thought into the schools. Here's what Sarah had to say. It was kind of eye-opening. I was reading your article on this yesterday, and I got to tell you, I do this for a living. And even I was saying, wait a minute, I thought we had eradicated this here in the red states and in this area. But it looks like there is a pushback, but it's not a direct, we think you're wrong, we're going to push back and win. It's changing names, changing titles, looking at different ways to get kind of the same concept back into schools. What's kind of that foundational understanding we need of where we are with the debate over things like critical race theory?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. Well, and honestly, you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what is happening. We're seeing a similar issue, which right now we have critical race theory as a concern, right? GOP states have been actively fighting this agenda, trying to get it out of their schools. And this is where we have Media Literacy Now. That is a nonprofit that was flagged by the Conservative Foundation for Freedom Online. They released a report, which is what I covered in my article. And in that report, they found that this organization, MLN, has some pretty deep roots in both the federal government, and it has paid advocacy in 23 states, many of which are Republican leaning, like Arizona, Indiana, Texas, Tennessee, to name a few. And so the reason why this is a concern is because Media Literacy Now, MLM, is claiming that their mission is simple. They want to essentially teach children, students within grades K through 12, how to navigate the media. MLN will claim that it founded because its founder was concerned about cartoons that its children were watching. But really, at the end of the day, they're trying to train children what outlets, news outlets, they can trust, which ones are they claim to be unreliable. And, you know, that doesn't necessarily seem like a bad thing, because it is tricky sometimes to navigate the media. And we all know that some outlets lean more left or more right. But when you look at the details, you see that they're almost consistently flagging conservative outlets as unreliable, while claiming that more progressive or left-leaning outlets are reliable. And their affiliates are also extremely telling. They have the founder and CEO of Adfontes on their board, which is pretty well known for their media bias charts. And on some of their charts, they'll claim that outlets like Fox News or the New York Post are hyper-partisan and unreliable. They've also flagged 64% of left-leaning outlets as reliable, but only saying the same of 32% of conservative outlets. And MLN is also platforming people who are openly promoting things such as critical race theory. They have a researcher based in Pennsylvania. His name is R. Allen Berry. And he wrote a chapter that was published as part of an academic text that pretty explicitly makes this case for how, in order to fight for media literacy, we have to fight for critical race theory to be taught in schools. And for your listeners who may not know, critical race theory is just it champions itself as anti-racism, as, you know, rooting out systemic racism through an academic framework. But really, it's just promoting racism. And there are plenty of conservatives, Christians, etc., who are concerned about that, don't support that don't want their kids to be taught that. And yet it's being pushed in schools. MLN actively promotes people who are wanting to see CRT in schools. And I think the most concerning part is that MLN doesn't just have a goal of doing this. It's already connected in, like I said, at least 23 states. But if you go back to the Biden administration, you'll see that it's also significantly funded through federal agencies and uplifted through federal agencies. For example, during the Biden administration, the State Department granted them $30,000 in a grant that was sent ultimately overseas to Germany to promote these exact same objectives. But even domestically, there's at least, if this is even the full number, at least 14 federal government agencies that have been a part of, for example, Biden's Information Literacy Task Force, which promotes a lot of what MLN has been putting out. So it's definitely not something that is just, you know, oh, it's a thing. They have this dream of helping children learn how to navigate the media. No, they want to essentially push their ideological ideas as they teach children what they consider to be reliable outlets or not. And it already has some pretty deep roots in the federal government and in several schools. So it's pretty concerning.
Sarah, it is concerning, and you've described, really it kind of has some far-reaching. The tentacles are far-reaching. Do we know who or what entities are behind this group?
Yes, we do know of some, and I will list the one that's probably most concerning, which is the Southern Poverty Law Center, the SPLC. Mm-hmm. They actually pen a lot of their curricula that go out to these students. And the reason why the SPLC being a huge part of MLN's curricula is so concerning is because the SPLC itself is significantly far left, radical. Anybody that they deem conservative Christian that opposes their views is not just wrong from their eyes, but maybe even evil or hateful. For example, the SPLC puts out these things called hate maps. And I'd like to just brush it off as something that they do that doesn't affect anybody. But unfortunately, it directly affects a lot of people, including the organization I work for. Family Research Council was put on one of these hate maps in 2010, primarily because we favor and promote the traditional biblical views of marriage, for example. And the SPLC considers that hateful. So we're put on this map. And 2 years later, in 2012, a person came across that map, saw us on it and other organizations, and decided that that was not okay. He created a plan. He came to our organization, but had a couple different organizations on his list for that day, armed with a gun and with a plan to irreversibly harm as many people at our organization as possible that day, all because he saw us on this hate map. And thankfully, he was stopped. He's in prison, but it just goes to show how the SPLC is actively putting this idea into people's minds that there are groups out there that they disagree with, but that's not okay to just say that you disagree with them. They're putting out information that is actively vilifying people that don't have the same worldview as them, such as Family Research Council, the Alliance Defending Freedom, even Moms for Liberty. I mean, just moms who are concerned about their children and them not being indoctrinated are now officially an enemy and a hate group because they differ from the SPLC. And this group is supported by MLN. It is affiliated. It works directly alongside MLN. And so I'd like to say that media literacy training can be neutral. And I think maybe it can be somewhat more neutral. As researchers have expressed, media literacy in and of itself is not evil. But when it's utilized as a political weapon to promote an ideological push, whether it's from the federal government or from this nonprofit exclusively, then it is a problem because it's going directly into schools. And yes, children are going to be exposed to different worldviews in schools no matter what. There's not really anything we can do about that. But we don't have to be putting thousands, if not millions, of taxpayer dollars towards a nonprofit that doesn't even hide its ideological bias that does not represent a majority of this country.
We are visiting with Sarah Holliday. The article at the Washington Stand is Report Warns Critical Race Theory Could Be Worming Its Way Back into Classrooms. And I'm going to shortchange on time on this one because we just got a minute or so left. Sarah, how successful has this sort of clandestine effort been to get this sort of push into the classrooms? Because a lot of people would say, oh, I know that happens over there, but that wouldn't happen in my area school. How successful are they in getting this end run around the efforts, like in Missouri, to get rid of critical race theory?
Yeah, I would say for MLN specifically, the very nature that it has paid advocacy and it's in legislation within, a range of 20 plus states, and many of them being Republican-led, is demonstrating how they definitely have at least somewhat of a foothold. I mean, they have influence in Germany that is backed by a federal grant. So they've definitely made some strides. And I think another concerning aspect is that there are people within government, GOP leaders who have expressed that they were not aware that MLN was pushing this when they, let's say, pass legislation that promotes MLN's campaign. So they have definitely made a foothold, but I think that the fact that it's being exposed is encouraging. All we got to do is just pay attention, keep our head on a swivel, and really read the fine line. Policymakers, do what you need to do to read that text. I'm not a politician, but you guys need to make sure that you're really looking through every little detail and asking deep questions. Policymakers can do that. They can warn educators. They can warn parents. Parents can get involved in their schools to ask questions and to confront what they might suspect to be this creeping into their own classrooms. Everybody's going to say, no, that's not going to happen to me. It's not going to affect me. But the sad part is that it could worm its way into any area if we're not diligent and discerning.
All right. Once again, the links to all of the receipts are in the article itself. We connect with you in the Washington Stand. How, Sarah?
And you can contact us through frc.org or washingtonstand.com.
All right. Once again, just look up the Washington Stand and you can find that article. And you can also find that linked in our podcast as well. It's on mine. If you go to AVP Mike Ferguson, that's one of the links that I put out yesterday. All right. A lot of ground, as always, to cover here. And don't forget the food drive. We've got that going on. People are, we had a really great start to that. And I have a feeling we're going to finish really big. But right now, people are kind of getting caught up in the parties and everything. But I'm telling you, don't let up. We can prove that we can take care of our neighbors better than government can. So go to NewsTalkSTL.com, find the locations for the drop-off bins, and please bring your non-perishable food to one of those. Maybe the one right here at the radio station. We'd love to say hi. We'd love to see you. So check it out, NewsTalkSTL.com.
Here's my problem.
Completely agree with your sentiments.
He talks about we're divided. Well, yeah, we are. And we need to wake up as a country and realize what's going on.
101.9 and 94.1.
Number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Hey there, Chris Cooper here, Serenity Wealth Management. Joining us in the studio for Serenity Wealth Now this weekend is Katie Modulin with Magic Expeditions. We're going to talk about travel tips and fun, memorable experiences you can create for your family and friends. So tune in right here, News Talk STL, Sunday morning, 9 a.m., or on Serenity Wealth Now social media outlets.
Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper, Sunday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Hello, Kirk Elsinger, Chairman of the Republican Party, City of St. Louis. Join us for our Christmas party on December 11th. Tickets may be purchased by cash or check, or you may purchase tickets through our website at stl-gop.com. We'll have dinner and silent auction. In addition, we will be collecting donations for Toys for Tots. So bring an unwrapped toy for a family in need. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we look forward to fighting for you in 2026.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Every 2 seconds, someone needs blood. Someone who is fighting cancer, undergoing surgery, or experiencing a life-threatening illness. The need for blood is critical and constant.
I'm Congressman Bob Onder. A single blood donation can save lives. Donate blood today and offer help and hope to those who need it most.
This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Winter's coming fast. Is your furnace ready? Johnson Heating and Cooling is here to help. Get our complete furnace checkup for just $99. We'll check for gas leaks, inspect electrical connections, and examine your flue to keep your family safe and warm. We service all brands of equipment, and we're fully licensed and insured. From furnace maintenance to air conditioning service, new installations to repairs. Call 636-332-4141 or visit johnson-heatingandcooling.com.
People ask all the time, who the heck is Low Cost Airlines? Well, we're not just one airline. When you're talking to us, you're talking to everyone. We are the discount supermarket for all airline tickets. Plus, we have all the airlines and always have the best prices. American, Delta, United, plus all the specialized international airlines and a lot more. And we make it easy. We guarantee you'll talk to a live human in 60 seconds. You can have the rate you need and have your trip booked in 5 minutes. Now, how cool is that? And remember, when you're talking to us, it's like talking to every single airline available with one fast phone call. All you need to do is call and find the best prices to fly wherever it is you want to go. So are you ready? Call Low Cost Airlines right now. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right. If state lawmakers are not allowed direct oversight of MoDOT, that's been one of the biggest surprises I've had this week, is learning that from Ben Keithley, and then follow-up conversations I've had with some other lawmakers, Nick Schroer and some others, just on text, is that because of various provisions in the law and in the Constitution and court rulings, state lawmakers don't have direct oversight of the Department of Transportation the way that they have direct oversight of other parts of the state. And we are seeing now, not that a lack of politicians is what's causing all the problems, but I think that the lack of oversight, is a disincentive to really be on your game with MoDOT. We've just seen a pattern now. And so I think that you can connect some dots. That's been the biggest surprise for me this week, is learning how autonomous MoDOT is.
Yeah, I'm not one that usually says, why is the government not in charge of this?
Right. I feel weird saying that.
But why is the government not in charge of this?
Right, exactly. Because, when you look at, like, for instance, what happened on Monday, and we're getting story after story after story. And one of the problems for MoDOT right now is that a lot of politicians were caught up in this, like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Hawley apparently was taking his kids to school, and he was caught, or picking them up from school or whatever. He's got really little kids, or he was driving somewhere with his family.
Mm-hmm.
Or his kids. And he apparently was caught for hours in the backup.
Wow.
Ben Keithley was caught for hours in it. I was caught for, and so people are like, what the heck? Because this is a pattern now. Well, if you don't have to run the risk of being called in, for some hearing, or getting a call from the committee chair, or have to defend your funding, you're saying, wait a minute, why are we giving you all this money and you're not doing the job? Well, from the MoDOT leadership, whatever. The snow will melt eventually. We'll get to it when we get to it. I mean, I don't think that's the attitude generally that they take, but there's a massive, and we've seen this time and time again, there is a massive lack of a sense of urgency from MoDOT right now.
Yes.
That was the biggest problem. It's not like they went out and broke up the highways and we couldn't do anything with it. They get construction done during the spring and the summer and the fall. We see that. I mean, construction is doing, but we know we need it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no sense of urgency that we can see when these snowfalls, and that wasn't even that big of a storm on Monday. It just wasn't. It was just them going, oh, well, we missed it. And there's no falling on the sword. There's no apology. So the fact that they have that autonomy has led Nick Schroer to go, to say, maybe it's time that we allow people to sue MoDOT.
Yes.
If there's a crash or there's some kind of loss that could have been prevented if they just done their job.
Because that's really what it comes down to. They were supposed to pre-treat it and then said, well, we didn't account for it coming before we could do well, that's what pre-treating is. You get to it beforehand. So it doesn't matter when it shows up. Now you have people that were in accidents. Now you got people that were delayed and have all these issues. And if the government can't hold you accountable, then we, the people, sure as heck should.
And so that's what he's suggested on a couple of different, news outlets and stuff. So I want to dig into that here in just a little bit as well. Also, a little bit later on, a question. This is coming to St. Louis now, apparently. Waymo. You're familiar with Waymo? This is a taxi service. No drivers. Automated driverless cars.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
So that's the question. Would you get in a taxi with no driver? Now, I've been in taxis in many cities around the country. I will tell you the Waymo cars probably smell better. But I'm like, I don't know that I want to get into a taxi. And by the way, the city is like, hey, wait a minute. They haven't applied for anything. And Waymo's like, yeah, we're coming anyway. So
we already sent the cars.
We'll give you the details on that here in a little bit as well.
This holiday season, help Feed My People fill the shelves. NewsTalkSTL and the STL County GOP are partnering for an annual food drive, November 10th through December 21st. Drop off your non-perishable food donations at all Bartolino's restaurants, all Chris's Pancakes and dining locations, and all 3 Michael's flooring outlets, or at the NewsTalkSTL studios.
Hey, it's Mike Ferguson, and together we can make a difference for families in need.
Visit NewsTalkSTL.com for complete drop-off locations. JC's Wayback Machine.
This week on the way back, we bust open my exclusive collection of Christmas songs.
Ho, 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 ho. Dashing through the snow. Oh, ho, ho, ho.
Also, we talked with the dude himself, actor Jeff Bridges, and lots of great songs from the 90s, 80s, and 70s. All brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
It's JC's Wayback Machine. Every Saturday night, 6 to 9. On NewsTalkSTL.
Streaming TV is where it's at. It's not about cutting the cord anymore. That's old news. It's all about your customized TV options. With the best and cheapest high-speed internet and your own TV subscriptions, we've got your dream TV lineup. Between wired and satellite internet and TV, you now have tons of options. Save money and get more internet speed and better TV today by calling the Whole Home Connect. We scan your location and offer you the best TV and internet options. And we always have specials and promotions. So when you call, ask about that. Take 5 minutes of your time. Make this free call now and learn how to save money and get better internet and TV for your home anywhere in the U.S. Make this simple and free call now.
800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. That's 800-257-1632.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. Opening a My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal record and interactive tools tailored for you. You can see if you are eligible to receive benefits, view spousal benefit estimates, and compare retirement benefit estimates at different ages or dates when you want to start receiving benefits. Already receiving benefits? Use your account to change your address, set up or change direct deposit, get a proof of income letter, and more. In most states, you can also request a replacement Social Security card. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. The Navy admiral who ordered a follow-up strike on a suspected U.S.-bound drug-running boat off Venezuela testifies today on Capitol Hill. A classified briefing delivered by Admiral Mitch Bradley. There's been no lack of controversy over the strike because it may have killed a couple of suspected narco-terrorists who survived the initial hit. Presidential envoy Steve Witkoff meets in Florida today with Ukrainian officials. Trump administration continues trying to end the war in Ukraine. President Trump on his team's earlier meeting with Russia's Vladimir Putin.
He would like to end the war. That was their impression. Now, whether or not, that was their impression. Their impression was that he would like to see the war ended. I think he'd like to get back to dealing a more normal life. I think he'd like to be trading with the United States of America, frankly, instead of, losing thousands of soldiers a week.
President Trump has crossed party lines to pardon a Texas congressman and his spouse.
Citing what he called a weaponized justice system, the president pardoned Texas Democratic Representative Henry Cuellar and his wife in a federal bribery and conspiracy case. He claimed the two were prosecuted because the congressman had been critical of President Joe Biden's immigration policies. Writing on social media, the president said Cuellar bravely spoke out against open borders. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Calling them ridiculously expensive, burdensome, and horrible, President Trump is trashing Joe Biden's super stringent fuel economy standards for new cars. Mr. Trump says the move should cut at least $1,000 from the cost of a new vehicle, while encouraging automakers to invest more in their American manufacturing operations while producing vehicles that consumers really want. Watching Wall Street, the Dow futures up 49 points. NASDAQ futures 6 points in the red. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Everyone is watching major movements ripple through the markets these days, sparked by new policy shifts out of Washington and activity from the Federal Reserve. Americans have faced uncertainty before, and every time, we've found our footing again. The real secret to long-term financial peace is simple. Keep your eyes on the horizon and understand the fundamentals that drive real stability. That's exactly why Advantage Gold is inviting you to call 800-741-GOLD right now. We'll send you a free Gold IRA rollover kit, along with a complimentary copy of economist Ken Rogoff's insightful book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. Inside, you'll learn how to defend your retirement savings against inflation, market swings, and reckless fiscal policies, with tangible assets like precious metals that have preserved wealth for centuries. It's no wonder Advantage Gold has been America's #1 gold company for the past decade. Take a smart step toward protecting what you've earned. Call 800-741-GOLD. That's 800-741-4653. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call 800-741.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. A cold day on deck for Thursday. Only talking highs into the lower 20s. Most of the day going to see feels like temperatures into the teens, into the single digits in some areas. Then as we head Thursday night into Friday, once again going to be seeing overnight lows into the lower teens. Going to be looking at a slight warm-up into the upcoming weekend, dry until Saturday night and early Sunday morning, where we could see a light wintry mix possible. Then a warm-up continues on into midweek next week with highs into mid-40s. In the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Hey, when pests invade your home, you need someone you can trust. It's Jamie Allman here, and at Buckingham Pest Control, they're not just your exterminators. They're your neighbors and friends. A locally owned family business and St. Louis Magazine A-List award winner, providing affordable, quality pest control. Plus, they offer energy-efficient TAP attic insulation, the only insulation that controls pests and qualifies for federal tax credits through December 31. BuckinghamPestControl.com. That's BuckinghamPestControl.com.
Your business moves fast. PRI Global keeps it moving smarter for almost 30 years, delivering top tech talent to help companies grow stronger, custom applications, simplifying your operations, securing your data, modernizing your business from the cloud up. And with Prismatic, you're going to get real-time insights, automated workflows, people, process, platform. PRI Global delivers all three. PRIGlobal.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new Newstalk STL app.
On my way to work in the morning.
Usually I'm in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere. Mike Ferguson.
Is there anything in your life that is not trauma Olympics?
Susie Moore.
Get out of here and stop playing victim.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
There's no crying in baseball.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin.
All right, hundreds of thousands of dollars from taxpayers handed over to a guy who never worked for the area school district. You remember that story, Francis Howell?
Oh, yeah.
And so now a state official is demanding some answers.
Okay.
And they should be.
Yes, they should be.
Yeah. Also, here's maybe the question of the day. Should MoDOT be liable when their screw-ups cause or allow wrecks to happen?
I have a lot of information and insight into this because of my former role.
I will be tapping into that.
Yeah, I got to think about how I can and what I can and can't say.
Yeah, because I think we're going to I think we'll get to that around 6:35.
Okay, perfect.
So I'm going to put a basic details.
I'm your Huckleberry.
Yes, basic details here in a couple minutes, and then 6:35. We'll talk about that here. Also, the redistricting fight that's about to go to the next round in Missouri. Just a quick update on this. And there's been some interesting things discovered about some of the key players, or at least one of the key players here as well. All right, 6:06 right now. Let's go ahead and do ye old news dump.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news. The morning news dump.
All right, former Justice Department Special Counsel Jack Smith subpoenaed on Wednesday. He is going to be ordered to do an interview with Congress behind closed doors. Republican Representative Jim Jordan was on Fox News Channel's Hannity. Says he's got questions about Smith's analysis of the phone records of several Republican lawmakers.
Some people, like myself, up to 2.5 years of their phone records. Who they called, who called them, when they called them, how long the call lasted. And if you initiated that call, they knew where you were at when you made the call.
And that was what was known as Operation Arctic Fox. Most of the lawmakers whose phone records were analyzed were involved in challenges to the results of the 2020 election. Smith's lawyers previously said he's willing to appear for an open hearing. He has defended his actions. I have a feeling this is going to get really, really messy in like a battle royale sort of way.
It is.
Yeah. All right. So we'll be fascinated to see what happens on that. All right. The Francis Howell School District gets a subpoena from the state auditor. Now, this is over the hundreds of thousands of dollars paid to a guy who never worked there. Yeah. KMOV's Morgan Harris has the basic details for us.
Now, back in March, the school district hired Mike Dominguez to run the district, but resigned just days before he was supposed to start. Then the Francis Howell Board of Education approved a nearly $230,000 settlement payout for Dominguez. Now the state says the school district refuses to explain why it negotiated the buyout, leading to those subpoenas.
Yeah, and he ended up taking a job as an assistant superintendent in some other district, some other part of the country. Yeah, so that's a more than a fair question to go, why are you paying out a guy who never showed up on day one?
All right, it's great non-work if you can get it.
Yeah, I will not work for the Francis Howell School District for
volunteering
half that.
right now.
Yeah, I'll do it for half that. I will save you money by, politician
We're good.
wording here. Okay, after years of political pressure, the Army Corps of Engineers is adding $40 million to the Coldwater Creek cleanup effort in North County.
Good.
Yeah. Radioactive waste dumped there in that area has been affecting people for decades, as everybody knows. Earlier this year, the EPA said the contamination cleanup won't be complete until 2038.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's been there since what, the 50s or something like that?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And so you give credit where credit's due. Eric Schmidt's been on this, but Josh Hawley has really been the driving factor on this. And credit where credit is due. In her brief time in the House, Cori Bush was
one
aggressive.
productive thing I saw her do.
The one thing she did. So there's a lot of pressure, but now they're actually adding to it. It's not that they weren't doing anything, but they clearly were doing just enough to say they were doing something. That's what it looked like to me. All right. So President Trump, he wants to lower the Biden era fuel economy requirements for new cars and trucks.
The administration has announced plans to roll back fuel economy standards for light-duty vehicles.
It was ridiculous, very expensive. It put tremendous upward pressure on car prices.
The transportation secretary said the Biden-era rules aimed at limiting air pollution were completely unattainable for automakers. If the plan is approved, new vehicles would need to average roughly 34 miles per gallon instead of 50. Greg Clugston, Washington.
And the president is 100% correct on this.
Yes.
This is overdue. Absolutely. He's doing the right thing.
Go, Don, go.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Should MoDOT, here's the basic details part of this. Should MoDOT be liable if you crash on the highway? Okay. Now there's more to it than that. All right. State Senator Nick Schroer, award-winning state senator.
Award-winning.
Nick Schroer, yep. Tells Fox 2 that he wants to see there is some immunity for MoDOT right now. It's not complete immunity for MoDOT right now. So he wants to see at least that partial immunity that protects the department ended if it can be proven that MoDOT's inaction or mistakes caused the losses, or if they were preventable had MoDOT done what they're mandated to do.
Okay, I have questions.
Yeah, right, exactly. So like I said, we're going to go into more depth on this at 6:35.
Yeah.
Now, this comes days after MoDOT failed to pre-treat or plow major highways around the St. Louis area before snow fell, and the snow that was in the forecast for days.
Yeah, that was no matter how you look at it from a legal perspective, from a practical perspective, I don't think anyone's a fan of MoDOT right now.
No, not at all. And there's one thing for a bunch of us to complain on social media and that sort of thing, but a lot of high profile people, a lot of politicians, a lot of media folks were caught in this.
Yeah.
For hours.
Mhm.
And we're saying, what the heck? And there's no indication of any urgency from MoDOT. And this I was telling Jerome just a little bit ago, this has been the most surprising thing that I've learned this week after almost 30 years of covering Missouri news and politics. I did not know how autonomous MoDOT was, and that there's no direct, they can't be held accountable. They're not scared when a lawmaker says, we want answers. They can go, whatever.
This is how surprised I was to find out about this, is that for the first time I think I've ever said in my entire life, I'm sitting there thinking, why is the government not in charge of this? And that's not something I thought I'd ever ask about anything.
Right. Well, I want to know, were they off-site in a meeting?
Yeah, right.
What kind of meeting?
Yeah.
Here's a button to press to get the salt to go off the trucks.
Just saying.
Man, yeah, they Sarah Russelled it.
Exactly. This is what I'm thinking.
Oh, man. All right. President Trump pardoned Texas Democrat Congressman Harry Cuellar. This is interesting. And the congressman's wife.
Yeah.
They were indicted by the Justice Department last year. So we're talking under the Biden years on charges of bribery and conspiracy. Congressman Cuellar speaking out on Fox's special report with Brett Baer, saying he was actually surprised to hear about the pardon.
I got a text from somebody asked me about the pardon. I said, what pardon are you talking about? And then they sent me a copy of that. I do want to thank the president. I want to thank President Trump for pardoning. And of course, I certainly want to say God has been good to my wife, to my family.
He filed for re-election. He's still in office, and he says he is not changing parties.
No.
So he is still going to run.
Yeah. And I know when those charges first were being floated and stuff, it did seem timing wise, like just like with Eric Adams. I'm not saying something nefarious wasn't done. It might have been, but the timing of it really seemed it coincided with those people speaking out against the Biden administration and their immigration policies.
Right. You're right.
So I don't have, it's not hard for me to believe that there was some political malice behind the investigations and prosecutions. And I'm not sure what prompted President Trump to do this now. But
yeah, so that surprised me. There's definitely correlation. Whether there's causation, we don't know. I think that's a fair way to say it. Okay, opponents of Missouri's new congressional district plan say they're going to submit their petition to put that map on the ballot next week. We're going to submit the petition next week.
All right.
If they have enough valid signatures, and if the courts allow the referendum to proceed in the case, the new maps then would not go into effect until at least 2028, and that's assuming voters give it the okay.
Okay.
All right. Republicans accuse the leftist group running the opposition of using illegal aliens as petitioners. That's the accusation, at least. And there is a lawsuit over whether signatures gathered before the petition was approved can be counted. Because they went and got a head start and got like 90,000 signatures before it had even gotten to the process.
Sorry, but that seems backwards.
Yeah. And I think the Secretary of State is right about that. But there's a lawsuit to say, no, we got the petitions, the language matches. Yeah, exactly. But here's the interesting thing. And you got to credit Greg Keller for finding this one. He's a Republican consultant.
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah. The opposition is being coordinated by a group called People Not Politicians. We all knew that. That's run by Richard Von Glahn, who runs a lot of the far left stuff in Missouri. Turns out he's got a history of working with the Missouri Communist Party.
What?
Yeah.
That does not go to Missouri, and Communist Party should never be mentioned.
They're so small. They're not even on the ballot. They don't even have ballot access, but they are an active organization, and they had like an awards thing. And he was one of the people who was listed as an affiliate according to the website.
Well, good for him.
Yeah. So literally a communist is running a statewide referendum thing. All right. Blues are back on the ice tonight. They play the Bruins. This one's in Boston. Puck drops at 6:00. Blues are 9-11-7 on the season.
Don't try to make me stop. No inspiration. You have a soul so dark it is no more. And all at once depart. No destination.
Well, there you go again. Listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right. When you are looking, you're getting all the ads right now for, holiday shopping, get your Christmas gifts, get all of these things right now. And it's kind of overwhelming. I look at my phone and things pop up all the time. Hey, Amazon, we found this for you based on your searches. Okay. Let me tell you something. If you've got an outdoorsman or an outdoorswoman or a hunter in your life, they are a different breed You know that, right? Well, you say, do you want a new tie? Do you want a new coffee mug? They're thinking, I want a new deer stand, or I want a new crossbow. That's what they're thinking. I need some new waders. And so this is the perfect time to check out my friends at Whistle Pig Outdoors. Mike Ferguson here, obviously, for Whistle Pig Outdoors. They're on North Main in Troy. You can also look them up at whistlepigoutdoors.com. I don't know a single outdoorsman. I don't know a single hunter. I don't know a single camper who would say, oh no, please don't buy me premium ammo for Christmas. Please don't get me, the deer stands. Please don't get me a blind. No. They want that, and they want the quality. And that's what my friends at Whistle Pig Outdoors has available. Everything from that premium ammo. We're talking Migra, we're talking Apex, we're talking Fiocchi, you name it, they've got it. Decoys, top quality, and the family run business. Jason and Cole there that run Whistle Pig Outdoors. These guys are awesome. I'm telling you, go hang out with them. They're always there. They are very proud of their family business because they are outdoorsmen too. They test everything they can test. And by the way, if you're an archery or bow hunter, this is your go-to place. They've got a tech on site, and they will get you hooked up for the next hunting season. WhistlePigOutdoors.com.
Tim Jones here to let you know that as we deal with old man winter, have no fear. Hanson's Tree Service is here to take care of your homestead, your business, and everything else throughout the winter months. Hanson's is offering 10% off all their tree care services, fully described at hansonstree.com for everyone in NewsTalk STL Nation. That's 10% off all tree care, pruning, grinding, and land clearing, and more. Hanson's also, of course, has plenty of fantastic organic mulch to protect all your landscape beds during the mean months ahead. No job too big or too small for Hanson's. 24/7 available at hansonstree.com. That's hansonstree.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Johnny Tobacco, he's host of Wise Guys on Newsmax. The polls are saying that Kami Mandami is going to be the next mayor of New York.
Well, Chris, I don't know what they say out in St. Louis about polls, but here in New York, we say polls are good in two places, strip clubs and firehouse. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Make your holiday special with Anthony's Produce, serving our community for over 28 years. Order fresh fruit and vegetable trays for work parties, family gatherings, and celebrations. Send chocolate-covered strawberries or a stunning fruit bouquet to someone you love. Plus, get seasoned firewood for pickup or delivery to keep your home cozy all winter long. Open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Order online at anthonysproduce.com or call 636-936-0496 on Jungerman Road in St. Peters.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
All right, here's a question kind of out of nowhere. Is it time to reevaluate dual citizenship?
Yes.
This is in the news here. Yeah. So Senator Bernie Moreno, Republican out of Ohio, he's got a bill that would outlaw and would end dual citizenship.
Okay.
So the way that I'm reading all of this is that you come to the United States, you can become a citizen, but you don't have to renounce or end your citizenship wherever you came from, depending on the country.
I was gonna say, does it depend on the country?
I think it depends on the country because some other countries don't allow it. And then if you're an American citizen and you decide to move and say retire somewhere else, if you become a citizen there, you could still retain your citizenship status here. And you can be, I've never understood the concept of dual citizenship. I guess if there's probably some tax experts who could say, oh no, there's an advantage to that. But Bernie Moreno and a number of Republicans are saying there's a much bigger picture here. Like, for instance, he was on the Ingram Angle on Fox last night, and here's just a quick clip of part of that discussion.
Teddy Roosevelt thought, look, if you're going to be an American, you got to be an American. You can only have allegiance to one country.
Okay, so that's a patriotic, warm and fuzzy. Okay, I get that, and I don't disagree. But from a civics, citizenship perspective, is he right?
Well, I think it's fair to have the conversation.
Mhm.
I would be interested to know what's spurring that because of all the problems that we're having with regard to immigration issues. I'm not sure that one in particular is front and center. I think Jerome has something else to say about
Yeah,
that.
jump
but
in.
but yeah, I'm reserving judgment for the moment.
I want to put on record that Massey did it first, and so I'm glad to see people are starting to finally take him more seriously because he's been pushing for this for a while now. That's actually part of his immigration reform platform. And yes, I do think that if you're going to come to America, that you should have to, or not, like we're supposed to be the land of freedom. We're supposed to be a land where you come here to start a new life, to basically integrate into a free society. And if you are trying to maintain or have any links to any sort of homeland or anything like that, so if things go south here, you get to go back home. Where do Americans go when we're and there are people that are having political power in our society that also have these dual allegiances. And I don't think it should be controversial to say you cannot be loyal to more than one nation at once, especially if they're incompatible societies. If you look at Britain right now, right? So for Britain, they're very anti-gun, very anti-free speech. If you are a British American citizen, dual citizen, how are we supposed to be able to trust that you're going to act in America's best interest and you're not going to turn America into Britain, right? So that's kind of how I view it. I think a lot of people, this is probably a little bit more popular with the younger generation, which is why I think, you see people like that are finally stepping up to that. But I think it's a great idea. You're American or you're not. Point it simple as.
So obviously, to me, the biggest, I want to know where the push for this is coming
Right.
from, and the biggest, the elephant in the room is Israel.
Yeah, and I think you could also maybe argue like Somalia and places that are in the news at the moment.
Well, yeah. But I mean, is dual citizenship the issue with Somalia or dual alliances? Because
Alliances, yeah.
With
Now, this-
Israel, it is actual dual citizenship, and that is a long-standing tradition. And I think there was a good reason for that when that was initiated.
Yeah.
And I know too many people who are Israeli Americans, and I think it's fair to have the conversation. I'm concerned about some of the impetus for this as an anti-Israel sentiment, and I am very pro-Israel.
Yeah.
So I'm a little leery.
So Randy Fine also has supported legislation like this earlier this year as well, after basically saying the same thing when Thomas Massey proposed it, but now he's on board. So I don't think if it's going to be a blanket thing, I don't see how that would be anti-Israel, because I feel the same way with whether it's a Muslim nation, if it's a Hindu nation, whatever the case is. If it's a blanket thing, it should be fair for everybody to say you're either American or you're not. But
I don't disagree with that. I wasn't even referencing Massey when he said that. I'm just saying when it was established, particularly for Israel, there was a reason for it. And I think it's fair to examine whether that needs to be looked at again. I'm always a little cautious and leery about that because of all the problems we've been talking about.
Right.
So many problems. The dual citizenship part of it, what dual allegiance part of it was.
Yeah, right.
The dual citizenship part of it doesn't seem to really be driving all of the problems that we're having. So I'm just skeptical.
Okay.
we have our good friend Dave.
Hey, Dave, you're on News Talk STL.
Hey.
What do you think?
Well, I wet my whistle real good. Again, I think, unfortunately, the Republicans are acting too much like Democrats. Let's throw the baby out with the bathwater. Why don't we examine it on a case-by-case basis? But why don't we start this as soon as we start the citizenship process for these people? Tell them, we'll go back to the greatest generation. You come over to this country, you assimilate, or get your ass out. There you go. We just fixed it. You assimilate or you're gone. You can still remember your culture. I remember my grandfather telling me his friend was from Austria. And he was outside his house talking, I guess, Austrian. And his mom cracked his best friend in the mouth and said, "You speak English."
Interesting.
It's a very simple fix. We just have to tell these folks, you know, if I'm going over to Spain, well, then I probably should adapt my culture now to theirs. And that's the problem is everybody wants to bring all their stuff over here, which is fine. But you have to assimilate to what we're doing. If you don't like it, get the hell out. Why is it all these people want to bitch and complain about this country, but you never see them leaving? Never see them leaving. And I'm talking about the politicians.
Yes, other than Ellen DeGeneres, and we're totally okay with that.
Or Rosie O'Donnell.
Or Rosie O'Donnell, yeah.
Unfortunately, the skank's coming back. I guess she found out that it's not as bad as you think it is. Look, I hated Obama. I hated Biden. Any Democrat president sucked. The Bushes are in that realm too. But I never one time said, boy, I'm going to flock and get out of this country, because I had faith. And I had faith in God, that God would get, I'm sorry, I can't say this on the radio. I had faith in God that God was going to get us through this. And guess what? God did.
Yep. Dave, thanks so much as always, man.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Now, I wanted to real quick just go back to the anti-Israel sentiment thing real quick,
Mhm.
because I think that ties very well into what I was trying to establish as well, is that right now, if the things are getting bad enough, not saying that there's not anti-Semitism in the United States, but if things are getting bad enough, according to my Jewish ex-girlfriend and her family, you, as a Jewish person, you can go back to Israel.
Mhm.
We are currently experiencing, people view our flag in America. People view the American flag as a hate symbol. They don't like that. There's a very anti-patriot, very anti-American rhetoric going on in America. So where do we go?
No. And I think that's a really fair point. But I also think that the concepts of assimilation and citizenship are being conflated here. Because there are, and I haven't done research on this to kind of get, I know there was a reason why when Israel was established,
Right.
the ability to maintain dual citizenship was was part of that deal. And the people that I know that are Israeli are as assimilated as anybody in terms of adopting American culture, that sort of thing. So for me, the issue there is an assimilation. Now you can question whether that splits people's alliances, and obviously America isn't Israel, and we don't have to be on the same page on everything. I get that. I think it's a fair conversation to have. But I 100% agree. If you're going to come here and you want to live in our country, you do need to assimilate.
Right.
I don't care whether you have 1 or 2 or 3 citizenships. But so I'm not talking about assimilation. I'm talking specifically about holding the dual citizenship.
Yeah.
No, but wouldn't a dual citizenship of any nation sort of, in a way, I guess, discourage full assimilation? So if I go to, I've got Scandinavian blood. So, if I went back to some of these Viking areas and I'm like, hey, Denmark or Finland or whoever, and then I also realize that they have some aspects of their culture is different than ours. And I'm like, well, I don't want to fully have to commit myself, because I can always go back to America.
Sure. No.
And as Allison pointed out, there's ways for people that are dual citizens to either hide their assets or do something here that is not to the nation's benefit, and then they can have an account, or they have people back home and we see this again with a lot of legal immigrants that come here for work, that they send money back to their families back home as well. So I don't know, and this might just be me being young and stupid, but and Mike knows that, but
I didn't say a word.
You looked at me and you were nodding in agreement. No, but but the idea that if you are planning to assimilate, why would you just not renounce your home citizenship and then become a full citizen and only a citizen of the United States?
No, and I honestly, I think that's a fair conversation to be having. What I'm saying is, I feel like somewhere in the middle of this conversation, we're conflating assimilation, because there's a lot of people here who are here legally but aren't citizens.
Right.
There's all kinds of variations there, and I just feel like we're conflating assimilation with the actual dual citizenship thing. And I want to look more into it, honestly, to understand what the genesis is of it and what the negatives are.
You know how I stupidly trip into some of this knowledge is I didn't realize until I was like in college that you could be a dual citizenship. And I read an article that Slash from Guns N' Roses has dual citizenship.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, he does.
Because his parents are one of them's from England, from
Okay.
the UK. So he's got dual citizenship in England and the United States. I'm like, you can do that?
I always thought my brother did because he was born in Japan, but since he was born on an army base in Japan,
that's
he
US
didn't.
soil.
Yeah, it is US.
That's US soil. That's like John McCain,
Mhm.
who was born on US soil because he was on a base.
See, and I think the easiest thing to squash all this is you can have a permanent residency card without being a citizen if you're still a citizen elsewhere, so you can stay here.
Yeah.
But anybody with dual citizenship, you can't have any political office. That seems like the most fair and balanced way of doing it.
Yeah, now I do think that it is fair, and I know we're just a hair over time here, but I do think it's fair to say before you can serve in an office that you should not. You should renounce any other. I think that's fair.
Yeah,
I think that's
absolutely.
fair for sure.
No, I don't disagree with that at all.
Yeah, interesting. Keep the comments coming. Let me know. Let's hear them.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Koch with your first alert forecast. A cold day on deck for Thursday. Only talking highs into the lower 20s. Most of the day going to see feels like temperatures into the teens, into the single digits in some areas. Then as we head Thursday night into Friday, once again going to be seeing overnight lows into the lower teens. Going to be looking at a slight warm-up into the upcoming weekend, dry until Saturday night and early Sunday morning, where we could see a light wintry mix possible. Then a warm-up continues on into midweek next week with highs into mid-40s. In the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Koch.
Renewal by Anderson asking, are you still battling cold drafts? Windows icing up again? Utility costs surging? You're worried about paying more every month? The truth is, you may already be paying for new windows and money lost to energy escaping your home. And here's the thing, you don't want to do this project twice. Renewal by Anderson spends every day replacing bad technology, poor installation of windows and doors that simply don't stand the test of time. But you can afford the best. America's most trusted window replacement company, Anderson. Call 877-WINDOWS or visit rbastl.com. Learn about our December savings event right now. 877-WINDOWS, rbastl.com. Renewal by Anderson. Superior products, exceptional service.
Looking for treasures from the past? Discover Mimi's Antiques Attic, your locally owned and family-operated treasure hunt destination. Explore 16,000 square feet of antiques, crafts, collectibles, and designer items across 225 unique rental spaces. Open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 7, and Sundays, 10 to 6 at 1000 Warrenton Shops in Warrenton. Mimi's Antiques Attic, where every visit uncovers new treasures.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The Russia-Ukraine peace talks ended yesterday without a breakthrough. We'll ask Steve Bucci of Heritage if Putin is about to go to war with Europe.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Good morning, Missouri. It's your boy, Joe Pags. I'll talk to you tonight at 10. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
We're finding out a lot about MoDOT these days.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's
familiarity breeds contempt.
Yes. And Nick Schroer has been on the news saying, you know, maybe it's time to make some changes. But I had no clue how autonomous they were and insulated from state oversight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to get to that because Nick's got an idea for that. Let's do that in just a minute. Wanted to quickly mention, I mentioned this yesterday, this coming Saturday. I was actually just telling Susie about this a second ago. Nutrition Stop has got this indoor farmers market that's happening. So a bunch of like free food and vendors and free drinks.
Yeah.
A variety of kinds of drinks.
Nice.
I mean, like the adult kind of drinks.
Okay.
Those are all going to be offered. They're from noon to 3 at Nutrition Stop.
Perfect.
You don't need
It
RSVP.
is right in my neighborhood. Yep.
Yep. Just come on, jump on in. I'm going to go by there. Rachel and I are going to stop by
Awesome.
for a little bit. So if you want to do that and check them out, you don't have to buy anything or buy a ticket. Just walk in and start eating other people's free food. And they'll have some demonstrations on how to, cook stuff, and you can look around and ask some questions, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I actually really enjoy it.
Nice. I mean, that sounds really, really cool.
Yeah. So check it out. Noon to 3. Just put Nutrition Stop in on the maps. It'll take you right there. Basically, it's on Mexico Road, just off this I-7.
Right at Cave Springs.
Yeah, right there off Cave Springs. Yeah, precisely. Okay. Okay. So with the debacle that happened on Monday, and this follows the debacle last winter where there was a legit big time snowstorm and ice storm. And we went out of our way to say, don't be mad at MoDOT right now. This was a massive storm. But then 3, 4, 5, 6 days later, roads still weren't cleared.
Yeah.
And then there have been other cases where people are like, where's the pre-treating? The crews in the different cities seem to be able to handle all these. I didn't hear any complaints in the cities necessarily. St. Louis City did a lot better. But even in the areas they didn't get to, they were very open about here's what we're doing. Here's what we've done. Here's what we still have to do. It was a whole different thing, even though I don't think they got it completely right, but massive steps in the right direction. So you give all the credit in the world to the new administration in the city for that. And then Monday happens and it's a complete debacle. And when people are questioning the local guy in charge for MoDOT, Bob Becker, The impression that we get is he basically shrugs and go, well, snow beat here. What you
gonna do?
What you gonna do? I mean, that's really what we got. So Nick is talked to a number of media outlets, and he's saying maybe MoDOT should be liable if their inaction or even their mistakes allows a preventable accident to happen.
Mhm.
So he talked about the immunity MoDOT has, and they have some, but they're not completely immune. It's not like
qualified,
you,
basically,
yeah, you can't. It's not like you can't sue them now.
Oh,
Right.
You absolutely can.
You
Your
can't.
damages are just capped.
Right. There's a limit to that. But his argument that he's making is saying, for instance, in this case right here, these backups preventable. Now, would there have been some slowdowns anytime you got a heavy snow? Now, sure.
Mhm.
But people were caught for hours because the highways were not pre-treated and they were not plowed.
Mhm.
And so he's saying, and I actually know one person at least who was in a wreck and
Yeah.
stranded for hours. And it was on a road that
should have been cleared.
And it was not, because MoDOT didn't do their job when they were supposed to do it. So then at that point, Nick says, well, maybe if they had the threat of being held liable. Now, the bottom line is, where's the balance between you're the driver,
right,
and you're supposed to adapt to the conditions, but if part of the conditions are because the government entity didn't do what they were supposed to do, is there an argument to be made here?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
There already is.
Tell me
Okay.
about it. Tell me
So
about it.
let's set aside weather.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's
Yeah.
just talk about like highway design or some defect that's the result of something that MoDOT did or didn't do.
Right.
You can sue them for that. There might be comparative fault on the part of the driver. We have pure comparative fault in Missouri, which means that you can assess the percentages of fault. It's not just one or the other. And that's something that's done all the time. MoDOT gets sued all the time. I know, because I represented them for a long time.
Yeah.
So you already have the ability to sue them under those circumstances. The damages are capped. I think it's $350 right now, $350,000.
$500.
Oh, they moved
Yeah,
it up.
it's up to $500.
Well, see,
Yeah.
you'll leave the profession for a couple of years
Yep.
and everything changes on you.
Yeah.
So I mean, there already is that ability. Now, there are some restrictions around that, and up till now, just the clearing or not clearing of the roadways, because you're talking about, force of nature, that
Right.
sort of thing, has not really been a factor in it. It has more to do with highway design, or heaven forbid, like something that they've got put out there in a construction zone plays a factor in an accident. So this would be expanding it. I think that the balance that they've tried to strike there is, you're suing the state,
right?
So you're basically, the taxpayers are paying for damages that you're talking about, and you are talking about automobile accidents, which are ubiquitous. So there has to be a balance struck, because otherwise you're going to bankrupt the state paying out damage awards. I think it's worthy conversation to have, but I also can see the downside to it.
Right. Yeah. And I know that a lot of those payments probably come out of insurance, liability insurance that the state has. But even if you start paying that out, it increases the premium, and you've got to pay more for that.
It's not an insurance plan.
Really? Because when I was on the city council in the city, if we got sued for something, it was our insurance company determining settlements or whether to fight,
Right.
because the insurance company
The
was paying
cities
it.
have insurance. The state,
Really?
No, that's coming out of state coffers directly.
Oh, okay. So, but the lawmakers, as we've learned this week, doesn't have.
Yeah, that is weird. A weird
Yeah.
construction there.
And that's what everybody's agreeing on right now, is that no, lawmakers don't have the direct side. So MoDOT can get a call from the transportation committee chairman and go, I want some answers. And he can go, I'm at lunch right now. Click.
Yeah, and
You know?
I don't know as much about that aspect of it, because that didn't factor into our representation of them. But I do think that bears some scrutiny, because someone's got to be exercising some oversight. They've got to be answerable to somebody.
Right. And that's what Ben Keithley was talking about that. And then I followed up with a couple other people like, oh no, Ben's right. They're like, yeah, we have to fund the money, but MoDOT basically answers to no one. And when you don't answer to anybody, you get the whatever, we'll get to it when we get to it. What are you going to do? I mean, and that's one of the results. So what, at the very least, the conversation that, Nick is saying, you know what, if snow and ice builds up because there was a forecasted snow, which we knew was going to happen, you don't do your job, and that causes or allows a preventable accident. Okay, maybe that could instill a little more urgency in MoDOT.
Yeah, it may be. And that's that from a proof perspective, from an evidence perspective, I can already see so many pitfalls, because you're talking about a lot of variables, on top of human error in terms of who's operating the vehicles. Because you can have a patch of ice and someone can be driving an appropriate speed and be fine on that patch of ice as long as they navigate their way through it. And you can have someone, be driving the appropriate speed and there's just nothing they can do because there's a lot of variables there.
We have our good friend Scott now wanting to make some comments about MoDOT.
Okay, Scott, let's hear it. What do you think?
Hey, good morning and happy belated Thanksgiving, everybody.
And to you as well.
Yeah, MoDOT, that is surprising, that almost like on a limited liability with them. That gentleman Becker, his response is exactly what you expect when somebody isn't held accountable. Like, oh, well, what are you going to do about it? I seem to remember a lawsuit. It was off of 44, I think. They had plowed the roads, and it was on the bridge where the snow was piled up so high, and a car hit it, and it was almost like a ramp, like the car flew off.
Yeah,
and somebody died, and I thought there was a huge lawsuit over that. But yeah, they need. Anytime there's accountability, people tend to sit up straight and tend to pay attention. And when they don't, they don't. The other issue about the dual citizenship, I think over years things were different 50, 60 years ago. It's the same with the folks who now treat the United States as a pregnancy destination. Come from another country, squat the kid here, and the kid's automatically a U.S. citizen. That needs to be looked at. I think it's a similar thing to the dual citizenship.
Yeah, that goes back to the Chinese, what they call it, pregnancy tourism or birth tourism or whatever they called it, something like that.
And the dreamer people. I mean, the kids where their parents are legal, but then they get born here. Now it's like, well, are you going to deport me because my baby's a citizen?
Right.
Well, yeah, if the kid's so special, is such a dreamer, go back to your own country and make that better.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Which is, I remember when the dreamer stuff was passed. I remember all that. And I remember being the unpopular guy, on college campus when I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. And I wasn't really that political at the time, because it was a whole different conversation at that time. And now we're 20, 25 years into this. And so the dreamers are young adults and they're like, we're still dreamers. I'm like, you've had decades to do the work to become citizenship or legal.
Sure.
Decades. And yes, it's a burden. It's hard. Blame your parents for coming here illegally, or bringing you here illegally, because the dreamers, remember, those aren't kids who were born here. Those were kids who were brought here illegally when they were really, really little.
Right.
And so, yeah.
Quick question for Susie. Do you think that the crazy federal judge decisions are due to their potentially leftist female clerks?
I'm sure the clerks are playing a role, but they're not the ones driving the show. I mean, they're the ship. Ultimately, it's the judges who have to sign off on these, and so they're gonna pick what they're gonna pick the clerks that they want to work with. So no, I don't think it's so much the clerks. Not that they don't hold those views, but I think it's the judges more than anything.
Excellent. All righty, good people. Stay well.
Hey, thanks a lot. Really appreciate that.
Me? Is it my turn?
I don't know.
Okay.
I just wrote it. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it is.
Well, all right. I didn't know we were coming straight to that. All right. Yeah. So, you know what? An area school district gets a subpoena because a state official wants to know, why did they pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to a guy who never worked there? Details coming up in the news dump at 6:50. It's that time of year. You're thinking about presents. You're thinking about what you're going to get everybody. And maybe you're one of those people who sometimes thinks about what you're going to get yourself. maybe what you're thinking about getting yourself, particularly like, for instance, if you had a great year, if you're getting a nice bonus, is a bit of an upgrade, a remodel in your house, new flooring, for instance. And if you are thinking about doing that, I have the place for you. It's Michael's Flooring Outlet, locally owned and operated for more than 30 years. So, you can count on them. I used them in the past. I had a great experience with them, and you will too. If it's variety you're looking for, Michael's has it, whether it's carpet or hardwood or luxury vinyl, natural stone, laminate, you name it, they've got it. Plus, with Michael's, your installation is going to be done right the first time because it's being done by the experts at Michael's, no subcontractors. With Michael's, you get the best combination ever, great value and great quality. So if you are thinking you are in the market for new flooring, go check out Michael's. You can go to shop in store at one of their 3 locations on Olive and Creek Core, on Town Square in Darting Prairie, or on Main Street in St. Peters, or you can just go online to igotfloored.com.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk. Live and local.
I need to know what's going on in my city.
News Talk STL.
Hi, this is St. Louis County Councilman Mark Harder reminding you to check out my new show this weekend.
The St. Louis County Insider with Councilman Mark Harder.
That's me. Every Sunday evening at 5, we will explore with you behind-the-scenes stories and information that you won't hear anywhere else. Plus, we talk to decision makers and influencers that have impact on what's going on in St. Louis County and beyond.
The St. Louis County Insider with Councilman Mark Harder.
I'll talk to you Sunday night at 5, only on News Talk STL.
If you turned 65 recently like me, it's important you find a Medicare Advantage plan that gives you the coverage you're looking for. But finding one can be difficult. The best thing I did, and I suggest you do the same, is call a licensed insurance agent and let them walk you through your Medicare Advantage plan options. There are so many benefits you have access to, so make the call now and let the representatives explain everything to you. Our licensed insurance agents can offer you a variety of Medicare Advantage plans. Plus, the call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation to enroll. We're here to make it easy for you to select a Medicare Advantage plan that may work for your needs. Finding a Medicare Advantage plan can be easy if you do what I did. Make a quick call right now to learn more. Thank you.
800-439-7851. 800-439-7851. 800-439-7851. That's 800-439-7851.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, this is Vince Colonnese. I'll talk to you tonight at 8, but now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show on News Talk STL.
I think was it yesterday, or was it maybe it was Tuesday? Would have been Ozzy Osbourne's birthday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he would have been 77.
Can I take a point of privilege?
Yes.
Today is my mama's 93rd birthday. Happy birthday, Mama.
Happy birthday. Yeah. So great. Yeah, I just because that was I was listening to some of the music.
I didn't realize that he was a December baby.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I am too. That's right. Later on this month. Yeah. Exactly. All right. 6:50 right now. So just kind of fortuitous that you played the Ozzy thing. I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. I didn't realize that was his birthday until like after the show, because I would have requested something.
Yeah. My bad, y'all. I'm sorry.
No. I didn't know it. All right. Okay. So hundreds of thousands of dollars. This has got a few people hot under the collar.
What the heck?
Hundreds of thousands of dollars from taxpayers handed to a guy who never worked there at an area school district. Never worked there.
Wow.
Okay. I could even understand some sort of buyout, like, sorry to trouble you, sorry for taking up your time, it didn't work out. But
he quit. He's the one who said, no, I'm not going to take the job. Won't be there this week.
Yeah. We need answers on that.
We need some answers. And a state official is now demanding answers. And also, apparently, the school district isn't real keen to hand him over voluntarily. So details here in a second on that. And then the redistricting fight about to go up to the next round in Missouri. All right. It is 6:51 right now. Let's go ahead and get some news dumped on you here.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news.
The morning news dump.
All right, let's start in Washington, D.C. here. Former Justice Department Special Counsel Jack Smith subpoenaed on Wednesday.
Subpoenas everywhere.
So, man, you got to watch your step. You're going to step on a subpoena somewhere. It's just everywhere. All right. Republican Congressman Jim Jordan was on Hannity last night on Fox, and he says he's going to be questioning Smith's analysis of the phone records of several Republican lawmakers under what we now know was Operation Arctic Frost.
Some people, like myself, up to 2.5 years of their phone records, who they called, who called them, when they called them, how long the call lasted. And if you initiated that call, they knew where you were at when you made the call.
And of course, Arctic Frost was under the guise of investigating January 6th, the 2020 election pushback, all that sort of thing. Smith's lawyers have said previously that, yeah, he's willing to appear for an open hearing and he didn't do nothing wrong. That's what they're arguing.
Okay, dokie.
We'll see how that works out. All right. The Francis Hill School District gets a subpoena, another subpoena. Watch your step. You're going to trip over a subpoena. They're everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah. Francis Hill School District gets a subpoena from the state auditor over hundreds of thousands of dollars they paid to a guy who never worked there. KMOV's Morgan Harris gives us the basic details.
Now, back in March, the school district hired Mike Dominguez to run the district, but resigned just days before he was supposed to start. Then the Francis Howell Board of Education approved a nearly $230,000 settlement payout for Dominguez. Now the state says the school district refuses to explain why it negotiated the buyout, leading to those subpoenas.
Yeah, so he takes the job, he rescinds and quits before he starts, and they negotiate a buyout for almost $250,000.
I want to figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
Legally, just to be clear. But yeah, that's very troubling, and there do need to be answers.
Yeah. And so the fact that the school district is basically saying, no, none of your business. Oh, yeah, it's our business.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, it is.
Oh,
yeah, they do need answers. I have a funny subpoena story for you. That's
okay.
Quick. You wanna
All right,
hear
let's
Wanna
do
hear
it. Yeah.
So, for almost 30 years, I practiced law, and you introduce yourself to people and they're like, oh, what do you do? And you say, oh, I'm a lawyer. And without fail, you say that and people lean back. They lean back. And I'm like, do they think I'm going to like slap a subpoena on them whenever I see them? What the heck? It was just invariable.
Oh, wow. I've only been subpoenaed one time. I got a federal subpoena once as a witness.
Yeah. Well, that's what I just did this week.
Yeah, that's right. You were subpoenaed. You were a witness. Yeah. And then I show up to the federal court. And it was a lawsuit against a company that I was I contracted for. The lawsuit had nothing to do with me, but I was called as a witness, and I sat there in the pews of the courthouse all day long. They never called me to the stand.
Yeah,
never. They gave me like $50 for the day, but I never got. I'm like, why am I here?
Yeah.
I could be doing something productive.
Well, I can just tell you that when you're preparing a case for trial as a lawyer, you've got to cover all the bases. So you make sure you round up everybody who could possibly need, and then strategy wise, you may decide, you know what, I don't need that person after all.
Round up is a good way to put it.
Well, you do. Yeah, you're sending out.
I felt rounded up.
Yes.
I mean, it was kind of fascinating to watch the proceedings, and but I'm like, because I told my boss, I'm like, this isn't a day off. You got to pay me.
Oh, yeah.
I got subpoenaed.
Yeah.
He's like, I know.
You were kidnapped and held hostage by the courts. That's what it sounds like.
Basically, that's what. Yeah. That's pretty much what it is.
Like, I don't even know who won the case. I have no idea how that went. I don't know. All right. President Trump pardons a Democrat.
Yeah.
Yeah. He pardons Democratic Congressman Harry Cuellar and the congressman's wife. They had been indicted by the Justice Department last year on charges of bribery and conspiracy. Congressman Cuellar speaking out. He was on Fox's Special Report with Brett Baer.
I got a text from somebody asked me about the pardon. I said, what pardon are you talking about? And then they sent me a copy of that. I do want to thank the president. I want to thank President Trump for pardoning him. And of course, I certainly want to say God has been good to my wife, to my family.
Okay, so he's still in office. He's just been indicted. But he filed for re-election, and he says he's not going to change parties. He's a Democrat, and this happened again. This is correlation. We don't know if it's causation, but he was a vocal critic of Biden's open borders policy in Texas, and then he and his wife get in right now. And I don't even remember what he was. I know conspiracy bribery, but I don't know exactly what he was.
It wasn't like full on Menendez. Let me put it that way.
Yes,
it was sort of like there was some sketchy stuff maybe, and I'm not saying that it wasn't legitimate.
Right.
I don't know. I can't say that. But the timing was very interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know his district. I don't know if he's going to get reelected. I don't know how that's going to work.
I think he probably will.
Yeah. All right. Opponents of Missouri's new congressional district plan say they're going to submit their petition next week to put that on the ballot, to put the question on the ballot in 2026. If they have enough valid signatures. Now, there's a lot of twists and turns here. If they have enough valid signatures, and if the courts rule the certain ways in the conflicts, then the new maps would not go into effect next year.
Okay.
They would be held until at least 2028. And that's if voters give the okay to the maps.
Right.
All right. So that's complicated enough.
It
right?
is.
Okay. So here's the thing. Republicans now are accusing a leftist group that's running the opposition of using illegal aliens to petition for signatures. Now, that's an accusation. None of that's been proven, but it's, I don't know. But that's the accusation, including from the attorney general.
There's some scrutiny.
Right. And there's been a lot of scrutiny over the tactics because they have been blanketed all over the state trying to get signatures on this. So the opposition is being coordinated by a group called People Not Politicians. We know that, which is run by Richard Von Glahn, who is pretty well known on running these leftist campaigns. That's like what he does. He actually got called, President Trump calling him names on social media.
Ooh, he hit the big time.
He actually hit the big time with President Trump. So here's the thing is Richard Von Glahn, it turns out, has a history of working, and he's been called an affiliate of the Missouri Communist Party. So that's who's now involved, is apparently those believed to be actual communists in the state.
Hey there, Chris Cooper here, Serenity Wealth Management. Joining us in the studio for Serenity Wealth Now this weekend is Katie Modulin with Magic Expeditions. We're going to talk about travel tips and fun, memorable experiences you can create for your family and friends. So tune in right here, News Talk STL, Sunday morning, 9 a.m., or on Serenity Wealth Now social media outlets.
Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper, Sunday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. These pills work for men and women to improve their sexual performance. And now for the price of 2 or 3 pills, you can get nearly 100. There's no need to pay expensive prices for Viagra or Cialis. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Change your life for the better and have fun. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
800-631-2030. 800-631-2030. 800-631-2030. That's 800-631-2030.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. The Pentagon finds itself having to defend Operation Southern Spear, the attacks on suspected drug-running boats bound for the U.S. from the Caribbean. A Pentagon spokesman says defense intelligence confirms irrefutable evidence that those on board the vessels were narco-terrorists. And the military as well as civilian lawyers have deemed the military strikes to be legal. Today, the admiral who ordered a follow-up strike on one boat delivers a classified briefing to Congress. If you've ever suffered a bad case of sticker shock while checking new car prices, relief is on the way. President Trump is relaxing what he calls horrible and costly requirements imposed by the Biden administration.
The administration has announced plans to roll back fuel economy standards for light-duty vehicles.
It was ridiculous, very expensive. It put tremendous upward pressure on car prices.
The transportation secretary said the Biden-era rules aimed at limiting air pollution were completely unattainable for automakers. If the plan is approved, new vehicles would need to average roughly 34 miles per gallon instead of 50. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Delta Airlines says the longest ever government shutdown costed about $200 million.
Shutdown began October 1st and caused long delays and historic flight cancellations at major airports.
The FAA issued an emergency order requiring airlines to cancel up to 6% of domestic flights as more air traffic controllers called out of work, citing stress and the need to take on side jobs. CEO Ed Bastian says refunds increased and bookings slowed during the 43-day shutdown, leading to a loss of about 25 cents a share. Bob Agnew reporting.
The Trump team continues working to end the war in Ukraine. The White House confirms Trump envoy Steve Witkoff meets today with Ukrainian negotiators. Dow futures up 36 points. Townhall.com.
This is Dennis Prager for AmFed Coin and Bullion. There's something about the feel of a gold coin in your hand and the way the light reflects off its intricate details that has always captivated me. Nick Grovich, AmFed's owner, turned that same passion into his livelihood. Nick began collecting coins as a teen, and that interest grew into a nationally respected business offering only the finest quality coins at the most competitive prices. But the truth is that although Nick is a rare coin dealer, he doesn't believe in rare coins. Rare coins do not make sound investments, but they do make dealers a lot of money. See, that's part of what I respect about him. AmFed specializes in buying non-performing numismatic coins and turning them into gold or silver investments that provide liquidity and perform competitively against the market. Whether you're buying or selling, call 800-221-7694. That's 800-221-7694. American Fed.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Koch with your first alert forecast. A cold day on deck for Thursday. Only talking highs into the lower 20s most of the day. Going to see feels like temperatures into the teens, into the single digits in some areas. Then as we have Thursday night and Friday, once again, going to be seeing overnight lows into the lower teens. Going to be looking at a slight warm-up into the upcoming weekend, dry until Saturday night and early Sunday morning, where we could see a light wintry mix possible. Then a warm-up continues on into midweek next week with highs into mid-40s. In the first alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Koch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA SIPC.
Looking for unbelievable deals? Stop by Overstock Outlet in Lake St. Louis or Warrenton. Open 7 days a week. Discover big savings on a huge variety of merchandise with no hassle. Just great prices. Visit us in Lake St. Louis on Highway N or in Warrenton on Boones Lake. Check out our Facebook page at Overstock Outlet Lake St. Louis or go online to OverstockOutletSTL.com. Unbeatable value, friendly service, and you never know what we'll have at Overstock Outlet.
Mike Ferguson.
What is that private pile? Sir, jelly donut, sir. A jelly donut?
Susie Moore.
Mama don't like tattletales.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now. Believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up. This is your cousin.
All right, the good, the bad, the ugly. It is time to gear up for the next Missouri legislative
Who you calling
session.
ugly?
Me. Okay, so I was looking over social media, and our friend Camellia Peterson from Americans for Prosperity was commenting on the stuff going on. And one of the things that she joins us right now, Camellia, that you mentioned, all the work you're doing, reviewing all of these pre-filed bills, and anything and everything can get pre-filed. So there's probably some really nutty stuff out there that somebody just wants to make a point on. But then when you get into the gist of what lawmakers are really pushing for, are you seeing any sort of clear trends that show us, here's what's going to be top of mind this year?
Yes, good morning. And I will say I've been joking about making a naughty and nice list. But I don't want to burn any bridges quite yet. So I'll go over them more thoroughly before I start calling people out. It has been. I mean, there's always some stuff that, are just kind of people's pet, issues or whatever. And some things are kind of silly and, but there's a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of stuff that's not great. But there are definite trends. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about eliminating the income tax, and there's been issues with the property tax. So there are lots of bills that have to do with that. I will say we have not seen what I would consider the income tax legislation filed yet. I think that's still a little bit coming. I expect that will be filed closer to January, and they'll probably unveil that at the governor's State of the State address. But there are other things that are coming online that we will hear a lot about, including things to do with AI technology and things to do with energy and data centers. And, there's a lot of talk about SB4 last year with the utilities. And one of the things that when we talk about energy and utilities in Missouri is you've heard a lot of talk about nuclear. And what I think some people did not realize is that in SB4 last time, it opened up the energy market more to make it more feasible to start bringing more things online, but that really targeted natural gas, and it did not touch nuclear. So there are several bills that I have seen filed already that are making those provisions to open up the options for nuclear power in Missouri.
Okay, so let me follow up real quick because I know Susie's got a question for you. Is what you're seeing on those basically allowing nuclear power to come online faster in Missouri? Because, I mean, one of the arguments, and I'm one of them that makes it, is that, a more robust nuclear energy source is likely going to be more efficient and less expensive.
Yes, and I think this is a really complicated issue, right? There's a lot of talk about small modular reactors, SMRs, and from everybody I've talked to, where we seem to be on that is the technology is there and we're close, but we're probably about 5 years away from it actually being practical and feasible to start producing those and putting them into use. However, we don't even really have the landscape, or it's not feasible to make the enormous investment into traditional nuclear power plants. It takes a lot to build those, takes a long time, high risk, but they've created the conditions where, like for natural gas and other, renewable, that's not considered renewable necessarily, but when they talk about renewable sources of energy and making provisions for those, nuclear has not been included, and now it is. So they've set up the landscape to make that easier to do and more feasible. So I think that it's an important step, first of all, and I'm pretty excited. I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow, but I think that we have to start somewhere, and now is a good place to start.
Very, very good point, Camellia. We talk about, obviously, one of the big topics, as you noted, is the income tax, property taxes. People are really dialed in on what the legislature is going to be able to accomplish on that front this year. Peel back the curtain a little bit, though, for our listeners. You're getting multiple bills filed on those topics. How do we go from multiple different bills and proposals into one that ends up, or a couple that end up being the ones that are actually brought to the floor, debated, and voted on? Explain that for them.
Sure. I mean, the truth is that there are a lot of ideas out there, and there are a lot of things that get filed. But the real work happens in the negotiation process, really before these things even make it to committee, and especially in the Senate, because the Senate is always the toughest hurdle for most things. So, I know there are discussions ongoing right now. I know the governor's staff and a lot of other organizations have been working to make sure that whatever plan is proposed is doable, and that it is affordable, and it's not going to shortchange the state, in the process in which it happens. Because one of the things that you will hear over and over again, and you will see as some groups push back against this, is you will hear them say, don't brown back Missouri, don't Kansas Missouri, because they look at what happened in Kansas and they think that we're going to do the same thing here. And I can tell you with 100% confidence that is, all of those things have been taken into consideration, and the people who are working on the details of this are very cognizant of that and not making those mistakes.
Okay, so let me follow up that with the point of how important this is for the state as far as the state economy. I mean, there's clearly a moment in time right now, people saying enough is enough on the taxes, whether it's property income and all the others. Dave Spence, you haven't heard that name in a while. He had an article, op-ed posted in the Dispatch, I want to say it was yesterday or today, regarding the effect that the taxes are having on his businesses. And so it's more than just we're conservatives, we want lower taxes. They're leftists, they want bigger taxes and more social safety net. There is a driving factor right now. People are demanding some change. What would a good tax reform and tax cut system or plan mean to the state overall from a freedom or an economic perspective?
Well, I think eliminating the income tax would be huge. First of all, there is a lot of discussion about just how we do taxes in Missouri and how, nobody likes property taxes. Nobody likes personal property taxes. We're working on getting rid of personal property taxes as well. But it's tough when you talk about how you're doing funding at the local level and when you talk about things like property taxes. I will say that I've talked to some people who I think have some really interesting ideas to stamp the entire system. That is a really big list. I think it'd be really challenging. But something like the income tax that is so damaging to incentivizing production in the state and incentivizing people to work and to invest in businesses, which will provide more jobs. Like, that is just an enormous step in the right direction. And we've seen it work. We've talked about this many times about, the states who have done that similar to us. And, it's time for Missouri to do that as well.
Camellia, as part of this kind of preliminary process that you're going through, just kind of eyeballing what's the pre-filing, that sort of thing, give the listeners an idea, like how many bills are we talking about? Roughly, ballpark.
I would have to look as of this morning to see, because there's a lot of things that are pre-filed and then all of the details of them are slowly getting uploaded online.
Mm-hmm.
However, I did see a little graph a day or two ago that showed the comparison in previous years. And this year there was a record number of bills filed, and we were well over 1,000 on the first day between the House and the Senate. And actually the Senate beat out the House this time on the first day with bills I was looking at.
Well, it's
a little unusual too.
It's almost like 2026 is an election year.
I know, right?
Crazy. All right. So, I would love to see you do a naughty or nice list on all of this, Camellia. But without naming any names, is there any bill that jumped out at you that you just went, that is weird? What in the world? I don't need the name, but what was the weirdest thing that you've seen overall?
Oh gosh. I think the most unusual one that I've seen, so of course there's a ton of bills, from the Democrat side of things that are trying to, take away school choice and other things. But maybe on the Republican side, the most odd one I've seen so far is one that would require voters to vote on definitions of terms in the Constitution. I haven't wrapped my head around that one yet. It seems like, I don't know. There's some interesting ideas out there. That was one of the most different ones I've come across so far.
That seems a little fraught.
I've seen how well our K through 12 public school system is working right now. I'm not sure I want to quiz the public on what these words in the Constitution mean.
I'm not sure I do either.
Oh my goodness. All right. You guys have a series of events going on. You've had some in the area recently. Anything coming up in the region here in the upcoming weeks or month or so?
We're kind of entering the slow holiday season, but I will say there is, looking forward, we already have Capitol visit days on the calendar for this next session. We have something, this is not something that's been put out on the website in public, but we are starting an exclusive invite only program that we will be doing the training for grassroots leaders. And we have about 10 people. It was an invite-only program that we are doing that with to get geared up for this next legislative session, to get more people plugged into organizing and expanding these efforts for liberty in the state. So that's coming up next week in the St. Louis area. And I will say, for all who would like to come out, and this is on our website, afpmissouri.com, Savannah is having a cocoa, cookies, and cheer, just a nice little holiday party get together Monday evening. And she would love to have you guys come out and see her.
All right.
Fantastic.
All right. Camellia Peterson, Americans for Prosperity. We will talk to you again soon. If I don't see you before then, like at a Christmas party or something, then we'll definitely run into you on the opening day of session, because we're going to be there, and I'm sure you're going to be there too.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
Without a doubt. All right.
Thanks, Camellia.
We'll talk to you again soon, Camellia.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks.
You know, this is the time of year when everyone's like going to parties and having all the great holiday food, and you get kind of caught up in that. You can kind of forget that there are people who aren't able to do that. And one of the things we're trying to do here at NewsTalkSTL, in partnering with the St. Louis County GOP, is help feed people who don't have that access to that kind of thing. So we have joined up to benefit Feed My People, and we are doing this food drive. You may have heard us talk about it. The easiest thing about it is there's so many different places where you can drop off food.
Yep.
Non-perishable items. We've got a bin here outside the station. We've got them at Michael's Flooring outlets. We've got them at Bartolino's. We've got them at Chris's Pancakes houses all over the St. Louis area. So just next time at your store, pick up a few non-perishable items and drop them off. Help us feed my people.
You want to give me more information? You want to take the...
You know, I typically run over to Nutrition Stop, about once a week and restock on a few things. I was actually in there twice this week because I realized I got back home after visiting there. I think it was Monday, and I forgot to grab one of my protein things. I was almost out. And here's the difference. You say, well, Mike, you can go anywhere and get protein. You can go to Walmart to get protein. You can go, yeah, but there's a difference with what Nutrition Stop carries. Mike Ferguson here for my friends at Nutrition Stop. For instance, I did not know that the post-workout protein I was using before has sucralose in it. Well, I also didn't know that sucralose is being scrutinized right now for possible negative effects when it comes to how your brain works, actually. And they pointed that out to me. And so I'm now using a different nutritional supplement that is all natural based and has none of the chemical stuff or the additives. And you know what? My body has reacted even better to it. So I have switched over everything in addition to the groceries that I get there. And no, it has not jacked up my cost of groceries. It's just real food, and my body feels better for it. And their advice has led me there. So nutritionstop.com is where you learn more. Be sure to join them and me. I'm going to be there on Saturday, noon to 3. They've got the indoor farmers market with all sorts of free samples of food and drinks. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's free. Nutritionstop.com on Mexico Road.
Colombo and Company.
President Trump just reset federal fuel standards raised by Biden, a move he says will save Americans billions. We'll discuss Thursday, plus Virginia Cruda and Dr. Randy Toby.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on NewsTalk STL.
Colombo here for my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton. The knowledgeable staff at Bluff City has served the St. Louis outdoor community for decades, and they can take care of all your bow hunting needs, all your trapping needs, all your fishing needs, and more. Plus, while you're there, you can schedule a trip with a local fishing guide and shoot in their archery range. Bluff City Outdoors is open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
It is an honor and a privilege to have U.S. Senator Eric Schmidt.
Hey, I have to tell you, I don't know if I've ever told you this. In the 90s, what would this have been? Mid-90s.
Yeah.
And I was I worked at Grant's Farm, and I had a couple other jobs. In the afternoon, I would often hear and listen to Porcelli's Deli on the radio.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for making me feel older than I already feel. That's just great.
Vic Porcelli, live and local weekday mornings at 9 on NewsTalk STL. This December 13th, join wreaths across America at Belle Reve Gardens Cemetery as we remember the fallen, honor those who serve, and teach our children the value of freedom. Help us lay remembrance wreaths on the graves of our fallen heroes. Sponsor a wreath, volunteer, or bring your family to this meaningful tribute to our veterans, because every hero deserves to be remembered. Learn more and sponsor a wreath. Visit NewsTalkSTL.com.
Thanks for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Radio news junkie. Love every bit about it.
News Talk STL.
No buffalo bison is safe if Mike Ferguson is around. Mike Ferguson Show in the morning. Larry Connors USA at 6.
See, what you do is you put some sweet potatoes in with the ground bison, and then you put some black beans, and then you put some diced sweet peppers in there, and then you put it over rice, and then the bison that you get in your nutrition shop is awesome. That's what you do with it.
And if you're lazy like me, if I'm not mistaken, they also have bison jerky, don't they?
They do. They do. They have that there.
I don't like sweet potatoes.
What?
I know.
Okay.
I tried one again the other day. I don't like them.
Try yams instead.
That's the same thing,
Okay,
Mike.
all right.
Speaking of voting on definitions.
Oh my
Can't
goodness.
fool me.
Okay, by the way, in about 30 minutes, I kind of put this out earlier, so I'm going to have to scroll back up through some of the comments. There's a story about the percentage of Americans who do New Year's resolutions. And so I'll do that. So we do that kind of once a year because there's always a new survey out there.
Sure.
But it got me thinking, if you could recommend New Year's resolutions for like the people out there, whether it's politicians or
not specific people, but like,
yeah, but pick somebody, whether it's somebody in the media, maybe it's one of us, maybe it's a politician, Republicans, Democrats, sports.
I
And
think you should make me.
that's right. So if you have a suggested New Year's resolution for anybody who's out there, around 750, I'm curious as to what to be. Make your New Year's resolutions for other people.
Okay.
All right. So I'm putting that out there right now. Just going to do that. Okay. So get this now, 735. I want to pick this conversation up we were having about Senator Bernie Moreno's proposal to ban dual citizenship in the United States. So 735, we'll dive into that specifically. Now, on a sort of related thing, remember covering, I don't know if you were on the show yet at the time.
I think I was.
You were on the show. In Illinois, they've now got a law that allows non-citizens to be police officers, and several are. Now, we covered this when they were debating, and I think one of the folks from the Illinois Freedom Caucus was on with us, and we're going to talk to Adam Neimerg at 8:05 because I want to ask him about this thing we're about to touch on. So somebody who was not a citizen of the United States, even if they're in the country legally, they're not a citizen, empowered to arrest and detain, and if the situation warrants, shoot American citizens. And that passed. Now, here's what happened is that during some of the ICE kind of dragnet in Chicago, they picked up a police officer who's in the country illegally. Illegally. He overstayed his permission to be here.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Right. Here's what's even weirder. He's been hired at another police department since being detained. He's still in the country illegally, and he's back on the beat as a police officer in the Chicago area.
You got a problem with that?
Yeah.
That is, that's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
So if someone's here legally, if they're here on a legal work visa, that sort of thing, we let non-citizens serve in our military.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
So if they are here legally, I don't really necessarily have a problem with them serving in law enforcement.
As a police officer, or just in the law enforcement, or like, because there are plenty of law enforcement jobs, but we're talking on the beat with a gun, with the handcuffs, with the cruiser.
Yeah, no, but like I said, if we allow non-citizens to serve in the military, to me, it's the same difference as far as that goes. You're giving them a level of responsibility, and I'm okay with that if they're here legally.
Here's my critique: military, the guns point at other people at enemies.
Yes.
Police, they're pointed at us.
Yeah, but you're still giving them some pretty heavy responsibility.
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
You're asking them to make a pretty big sacrifice.
Well, but functionally speaking, is that we do collate with other nations on the battlefield against our mutual enemies. So functionally speaking, it kind of falls into that sort of routine. Whereas domestically speaking, you have somebody here that is not, again, either a citizen or in this case, somebody that's not even supposed to be here. And you were
we don't
saying-
disagree on that.
Yeah,
and
no,
you-
I'm 100% there.
And you were saying that it is all right for you to have authority over citizens as a non-citizen, and that just feels really. I don't see the comparison.
Yeah,
between the two.
I like that description.
No, and I do get it. I mean, I think there's a fair argument there. I was just saying, like, I can kind of see the argument for particularly like local police type situations, small town type situations. Someone who's here legally on a work visa, whatever, they are allowed to be here. I can kind of see it. I can't see it at all with someone who's not here legally. How do you do that? How does that even, how?
Right. And so we're going to talk to Representative Neimerg about that here. But yeah, get this. Officers in Hanover Park, which is right there kind of on the line of DuPage and Cook County. Cook County, of course, is where Chicago is. Officials in Hanover Park defended Officer Radul Bojevic. They made a statement to CBS News that was covering this, saying that he was hired in full compliance with the law. He had proper federal work authorization, but DHS says, no, that authorization expired. He's not legal to be here because he overstayed.
That should never happen.
Yeah.
No.
The bottom line is that Northern Illinois and the Illinois as a state, now Central and Southern Illinois are far more conservative, as we all know.
Sure.
I mean, the NewsTalkSTL area is a lot of Illinois, and this is
Hi,
a
guys.
red area. And so basically what you have is a left-wing governor and a left-wing state legislature, left-wing bureaucrats who have taken this up as part of the pro-illegal immigration cause. And I think what they had hoped is, look at this, somebody serving their community. I thought you Republicans were all about law enforcement and law and order, and here he is, and you want to get rid of him. And we're going, well, I'm not a Republican, but yeah.
Law and order, meaning you didn't break the law to be doing what you're doing.
Right.
Hello.
Yeah, we're getting some pretty good comments here. So SeaWorld says, agreed, legal non-citizens in the military is different, but also that legal non-citizen who has is able to stay here permanently. So I believe like a permanent employee, resident sort of thing.
With a green card, a permanent, permanent residency.
Something like that is different than people that are here that have an expiration date on how long they're
I
allowed
agree
to be
with that
here,
too.
and that there should be some sort of gatekeeping of what jobs you can and can't do.
Yeah.
And then PMS goes a step further and says that hiring non-citizens is a pathway for communities to eventually enact things that are more of their own cultural things, such as Sharia law, right under everybody's noses. And we have seen certain communities where now that they are hiring these people and they want to start going and enacting certain policies or cultural norms on people that are not from those cultures. And I don't like that.
Yeah. I mean, but it's the flip side of that you don't hire any non-citizens, even if they're here legally, because I don't know that I agree with
Well, for
that.
positions of authority, I mean, I think
Right.
when it comes to medicine is a scientific thing. So if you're doing good
Right.
medicine, then or good science, then it's not a cultural thing unless you're doing some crazy nonsense anyways. And they shouldn't be hired. But if it's something to do with cultural authority or cultural influence, then yeah, I would say if you are not a fully assimilated, actual full-time citizen, then you should not be able to influence or have any authority over anybody that is.
I don't know where exactly to draw that.
Yeah,
line,
so there's
but-
got to be a line drawn somewhere. I think before, I mean, for instance, if somebody gets hired by the Illinois State Police, but their job is to work maintenance at the buildings, I don't, if they're here legally, I don't care. I mean, that's
Legally,
fine. You're here
they're here
legally. That's fine. You're the mechanic who fixes the cruisers. Fine. You're the data entry specialist. Oh, okay. That's fine. For me, the line is at the actual law enforcement post certified law enforcement officer.
Yeah, I would not have an issue with potentially even illegals, even though I want them not to be here, but being like a firefighter or being like a paramedic, if they can actually perform the duty, because that's not the same thing as, hey, I have my cultural bias of what should, and the law technically allows me to be
having authority over others.
I mean,
Yeah.
again, I don't want British people patrolling and policing me over my guns and my free speech.
I definitely don't the way they treat their own
No,
citizens.
they can't patrol their own right now. They're being run out by their third world immigrants over there, particularly in London. So yeah, so Adam Neimerg is going to be with us at we're going to talk to him at 8:05 because this is something the Freedom Caucus was. I mean, they were jumping up and down, screaming, saying this is exactly what's going to happen. And we've got an example that it's happened, not happening. It's happened and is happening.
Yeah, the thing that never happens is happening.
Right, precisely.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, is it time to reevaluate dual citizenship? We've been talking about that a little bit today. We're going to talk about that more when we come back at 7:35.
Mike Ferguson in the morning
Our country was founded by geniuses, but it's being run by idiots.
on News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. A cold day on deck for Thursday. Only talking highs into the lower 20s. Most of the day going to see feels like temperatures into the teens, into the single digits in some areas. Then as we head Thursday night and Friday, once again, going to be seeing overnight lows into the lower teens. Going to be looking at a slight warm-up into the upcoming weekend, dry until Saturday night and early Sunday morning, where we could see a light wintry mix possible. Then a warm-up continues on into midweek next week with highs into mid-40s. In the first alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scott.
John Beal knows that right after a hailstorm, new roofing companies start popping up everywhere. But the Small Business Administration reports 96% of them go out of business within the first 5 years. So how good is that warranty? John Beal started in the roofing business, helping his granddad and his dad, always offering the best roof, best price, best guarantee. John Beal Roofing, not some fly-by-the-night operation. Call my friend John, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
Larry Connor's commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit Vincent'sJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
Let's begin with a question that has a standard answer. In this case, focusing on Minnesota Governor Walz. How can you tell if he's lying? His lips are moving. Well, currently he's acting concerned about rampant fraud inside the state's Somalia communities. Investigators reporting $1 billion stolen from the state autistic child program, stolen by Somalians who set up phony autistic help programs. In one case, a husband and wife raking in $7 million, working only from their house and a mailbox. That kind of theft doesn't happen with the flick of a switch. And in fact, nearly 500 in the Minnesota State Department of Health said we've been pointing to this fraud for years, but Governor Walz ignored, even retaliated against the whistleblowers. Walz denies the allegation, which means his lips are moving, which means, yeah, you're right. And on top of that, his administration did allow fake truck driving schools, illegals getting fake commercial licenses, free to roam the state of Minnesota and our country. What does Governor Walz have to say about the fake phony driver's license? His lips are moving again. There's your answer.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine-in or carry-out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for Santino's. It isn't just a cigar lounge. It's an experience spanning 2 levels of pure sophistication. Handcrafted cocktails, authentic Sicilian cuisine with sauces made from scratch. The state-of-the-art smoke filtration keeps the air pristine, while the separate non-smoking wine room offers a perfect alternative. Members enjoy the lowest rates with premium benefits, including the ultimate climate-controlled humidor. Santino's, just off Highway 55 at the Imperial exit, SantinoCigarCocktails.com.
Tim Jones here from my great friends at Comprehensive Chiropractic, the premier chiropractic and sports performance facility in the region. How do I know? Simply put, they've helped me on many occasions. Here's another solution to your everyday aches and pains. The Studio Health and Wellness Center. Services include Pilates and yoga, both with certified instructors. I can also highly recommend the massage therapy, which is not an indulgence. It's a proven method of healing and restoration. Trust my friends at Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, cchiropractic.com. That's cchiropractic.com.
This is what's happening.
What New Yorkers are looking for is an era of consistency.
It's common sense or communism. The actual policies don't have a lot of support.
We are not the crazy ones.
101.9 and 94.1.
Number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
The secret secret side of me I never let you see. I keep it caged, but I can't control it. So stay away from me. The beast is ugly. I feel the rage and I just can't hold it.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
Okay, quick note, because we had that liner there from Nick Schroer. I'm not like drawing any conclusions. I'm not making any accusations. I'm just saying, have you ever seen Nick Schroer and John Cooper from Skillet in the same place at the same time? Have you ever seen them?
I have not.
Look up the pictures. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I've never seen them at the same place. I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's the same person. I'm just saying I've never seen them together. Fair enough.
Fair enough.
All right.
That's fair.
All right. I want to pick up this conversation about the dual citizenship.
I know.
Man, people have a lot of thoughts on that.
I know.
And also at 7:50, let's have some fun. I don't care whether it's President Trump or Sam Page or one of us or the Cardinal, anybody that's that's out there that we talk about or see or hear. Do you have any recommended New Year's resolutions for them? Let's talk about that. All right. 7:37 right now. All right. The Washington shenanigans give us plenty to keep track of these days. So, Susie, where should we start on Red State today?
There's lots of things to check out.
This is the Red State Rundown.
So much to check out in Red State that I got ahead of myself. There's lots to check out today on our site.
Finally hit the queue.
I didn't. Look, I'm still learning. I'm a baby. I'll get there. First one I want you to check out is it's by Katie Jerkovich. It's called Gauntlet Throne. The Charlie Kirk Show dissects Candace Owens' evil lies about his assassination. Headline kind of tells you what it's about.
Yes.
Long overdue. Definitely go check that out.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. It was. Okay. That's
yep.
enough.
We're
I've
good.
said
We're
enough.
good. We're good.
That woman's just vile and evil.
Okay, well, so this is kind of a fun little cat fight.
Yeah.
Sister Told You has this story. War of words between Josh Shapiro and Kamala Harris intensifies as 2028 speculation heats up. You want to go check that out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was interesting.
Yes. And last but not least, also by Katie Jerkovich, a Washington Democrat wants new law to tie ICE's hands and force Americans to pay illegal aliens legal bills. Pramila Jayapal is introducing legislation to say the American people should pick up the bills of illegal immigrants that are fighting being deported.
It's almost like her allegiance isn't to the U.S.
Yeah, almost. Just saying.
I'm going to do a segue now. Let's talk about the dual allegiances. Oh, my goodness. All right. Is it time to reevaluate the whole thing of dual citizenship?
Okay, it might be.
Yeah. And this is admittedly one of those areas where there might be, areas of gray on different things. I mean, here's the only experience I've got with this is that my first marriage, which ended 20 plus years ago, my first wife was a legal immigrant and a permanent resident. She had the green card. So she had the same rights as everybody other than voting.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. That and she had no interest in becoming a citizen. I don't know why. I don't care. I don't know. But she was here legally. So I got a little bit of a look at that process. But that was it. I never thought it was going to be something that was back in the news, decades later on this. So here's what's going on is Republican Senator Bernie Moreno, who is from Ohio.
Colombia.
Colombia.
The country.
Bernie Moreno is?
Yeah, he's a naturalized citizen.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That adds a whole different spice to the story.
Yes.
I did not know that.
That actually gives him a little bit more credibility.
I would think.
I agree.
Yeah,
I 100% agree.
Right.
Pull that ladder up.
So because that's the thing is we have a number of elected officials at all different levels, and we're seeing a lot of this in Minnesota right now with the Somalis and I always mispronounce her name. You just said her name. Jayapal.
Yeah.
Is she?
She's in Washington.
Right. She's in Washington State.
Yes.
And so but there, obviously Ilhan Omar, and there are a number of people who have talked about my people in my community, meaning somebody other than the United States.
Yes.
So we've seen now that's an emotional allegiance. That's just a like a personal ethical thing. And so that's a very subjective area. What he's talking about, Senator Moreno is talking about, is the objective question over whether or not we should allow or we should accept a dual citizenship. So he was on, what was he on? Ingram Angle on Fox. And this is part of what he had to say, because he is saying the United States law should change to say you're either a citizen with us and us only, or you're not a citizen here at all. Here's what he had to say.
President Trump has instructed.
That is the wrong one. Where did it
That's
go
not
here?
Bernie.
That I am. Yeah. All right. Here we go. Here's the good Bernie from the Senate.
Teddy Roosevelt thought, look, if you're going to be an American, you got to be an American. You can only have allegiance to one country.
Now, here's somebody can say, well, wait a minute, I've got more intellect than to just have one allegiance. And you can debate that. That's fine. But when it comes to a legal and a constitutional perspective, there are specific protections that you have with citizenship.
Sure.
And so right now, depending on the country, I don't think we accept it from all.
No.
But depending on the country, you can be a citizen, for instance, of England. You can be a citizen in the UK, and then get your U.S. citizenship and remain a citizen in England with all the rights and privileges and everything that goes with it. And so I don't know what their laws are on voting, but if you're a citizen here and you haven't lost the right through criminal activity or something, you can vote here, even if you're also allowed to vote somewhere else as well. Now, there's a moral question on that.
Sure.
So what Senator Moreno and some others are saying is U.S. citizen only, or not U.S. citizen at all. Be happy with permanent resident or whatever the case is.
Yeah, I've been trying to think of an alternative, and Susie knows a lot more about the way that the law actually works. So this is, I guess, kind of directed at you a bit, but would it work? So instead of offering citizenships for people that are immigrating here, why not make it a green card thing and then amend the 14th Amendment to not make you an automatic citizen by being born here, but giving you a permanent green card? Because to my understanding, you can revoke that if people are being like crazy and whatever the case is, and they're violating laws. But at least we've recognized you have a right to stay here. You just can't vote, because I think that's what we're seeing right now with a lot of people is that they get, they come here and then they're immediately either not always immediately, but a lot of them are either getting on public services or they are voting for people that are also, coming from their own countries or have the values of the countries they just left. So by making your kid, it would fast track you to become a citizen when you can establish that you deserve citizenship, but it would not automatically grant you all the rights and privileges just because you came here and took an oath.
I think that's a really fair proposal. And I think that's something that I would love to see us discussing. I'm not overly optimistic that we're going to see the 14th Amendment amended anytime soon,
or any
of them, any amendment of any sort.
Yeah.
But I think that's a really, really good argument to make there. I think what I'm struggling with and what I'm resisting here, and because I agree with the idea of not having, where your allegiances lay, and is it really right for you to be able to vote in two different countries? I totally understand that. Some people that have dual citizenship don't have it because they were born elsewhere and then came here.
Right.
They have it because they're here, and they have, like, Israel has the right of return. So then they were granted Israeli citizenship because of their heritage. So it's not like there is an assimilation issue there. People who were born here but have a parent who's from England or whatever. Again, that's not an assimilation issue. It could be a loyalty issue.
Right. And then there are some others who are saying, well, if I get citizenship in this country, then I can expand my business, or I can start up a business there, or I can retire there with particular taxes.
Right.
And so there's a variety of reasons people do it. The question is, does that rise to the level of something we should allow when it comes to our citizenship?
Well, and then the auxiliary issue is, I believe it's called FARA. But when you have like let's say Qatar and Saudi Arabia, there's a lot of countries that have political activism campaigns here. But if you're a dual citizen, can you not just say, well, I'm a U.S. citizen, this is a U.S. PAC, and now we're going to be funneling money from some of our hostile nations to come, is that something that could actually happen?
I don't think that's going to turn on your citizenship as much.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So there are a lot of political activist committees.
Right.
And so far as if you are, like, let's say you're Qatar and you have a bunch of people and we're like, hey, we want to foster relationships with Qatar.
Right.
You have to register with FARA so that way it exposes more of your interactions to make sure that you don't have like the communist people, the Soviets coming in to turn everybody a communist, right? But if you're a U.S. citizen and you have a bunch of U.S. citizens, even if they're all from Qatar, you can avoid FARA regulations with your political activist committee, even though you still could potentially have the same sort of.
I don't think that's right.
No,
Hunter Biden was supposed to register for FARA. He's a U.S. citizen.
Right.
Yeah, it's if you're going to be lobbying for a foreign country, you have to register whether you're U.S. citizenship or
if you're lobbying for a change in U.S. policy, that's just freedom of First Amendment freedom of speech. You can lobby. They're lobbying things on that. If you're lobbying for a change in U.S. policy, that's Americans lobbying for U.S. stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that the one other hesitation I have here is this. I don't want us to take our eye off the bigger piece of the puzzle, which is our overall immigration policy, H-1B visas, legal immigration, illegal immigration, reforming the legal immigration system. This is one facet of it, but it's, to me, the least critical facet of it because the dual citizenship issue is, I don't think, where the majority of the issues are coming from. So I think it's fair to have the discussion. I think you're right, like with Bernie Moreno bringing it, being a naturalized citizen,
Right.
that adds some heft to it. Let's have the conversation. I just don't want it to take us away from the even more critical elements of our immigration policy.
Agreed.
Now, would a good, fair step that I would hope everybody could agree on to say, if you are a dual citizen somewhere else, you must renounce your other citizenship before you can serve in elected or appointed office.
I think that's a fair.
Oh, yes.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I'm assuming there are people right now that are in office that haven't done that because they're not required by law to do that.
Right.
But I think that's a fair conversation to have about that as well.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I'm looking more into the green card sort of thing, because I mean personally I believe if you were a first generation immigrant here, regardless of whatever you came here, you probably should not, like, how can you possibly know enough and be assimilated into the country enough to be trusted for a political office?
Well, that's up to the voters, though.
Yeah, but the voters get it wrong.
Yeah, Jerome.
That's what we can vote with our feet. when
Dangerous
we do that.
territory.
Yeah, we can vote with our feet on that. I mean, Vivek Malik, our state treasurer, is he first generation?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. But
he might be, yeah.
By all accounts, he's doing a good job.
Yeah.
For the state.
I don't know that he's a dual citizen, though.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if he's dual citizen. But I mean, you know what? I'm going to look that up and have the answer.
We're
by
going to
the
check it
time-
out.
Ooh. Now, while we're looking into that, give us your ideas. Which New Year's resolutions do you recommend or enforce on others for the people that you see and hear on the news? Let's hear those suggestions at 7:50.
I can't control it. Hiding under the bed, in my body, in my head.
Mike Ferguson in the morning
Let me just say this with all due respect. You really don't know what you're talking about right now.
on News Talk STL.
Connor Roofing, you can count on Connor. Connor Roofing is now a two-time winner of the National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction for roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. Please visit ConnorRoofing.com for an estimate. And remember, you can count on Connor.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Bunny Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Bunny Radio every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeBunnyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
Hey folks, Jamie Allman here, waiting for you for the 3 Martini Lunch, the Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Now back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
And State Treasurer Vivek Malik is an first generation immigrant.
Right. We don't know about dual citizenship.
I don't believe it. From what I'm reading, it appears as though he's naturalized.
Yeah.
But he's definitely a U.S. citizen. But yeah, he was born in India, and by all accounts, he's doing a good job.
Well, to my understanding too, even if you are a dual citizen, you're not legally required to disclose that, are you? For like many of the positions?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
I'm going to run another.
There are
search.
things I don't know.
I don't believe that.
I know it's hard to believe, but there really are. A few, just a smidge, just a little bit.
Gabe would have known.
Well,
okay, sorry,
I am no Gabe.
Sorry, Susie.
I am no Gabe. I will never be Gabe. I am not a rocket scientist.
Okay, so according to the interwebs, here, according to Wikipedia, he does hold both Indian and U.S. citizenship.
Okay,
that's interesting.
Interesting part of the topic or the conversation.
Yeah, assuming that Wikipedia is correct,
which is always,
right.
Debatable.
And he became a U.S. citizen in 2017. He was practicing law before they had his own law firm, but apparently he is a dual citizen.
Great.
And see, I think that's again, I would like if everybody in the United States was only a United States citizen, but
Yeah.
I don't have as much of a problem if he's practicing law while being a dual citizen.
And it was immigration law that he did. Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, I got to bite my tongue on that one.
Yeah, but that's but again, I mean, if it's fair for us to say, if you are elected to office in this country, you should be only a U.S. citizen. I think then if that's the standard we have, then I think
let's debate it.
I think we should have that. I think it's a fair conversation to have,
Agreed.
even though from what I can tell, he's doing a good job. The whole citizenship and dual citizenship thing is a whole different and bigger question.
It is.
Yep. All right. 7:52 right now. Are you guys New Year's resolution people?
I am.
Are you? Okay. Do you make them like every year or just
Every year?
Okay. Have you been thinking about what you're going to do this year?
Not yet. No.
Okay. Not going to get too terribly personal, but what are the like general categories that you tend to?
Exercise is
Sure.
a big one.
Sure.
Diet is a big one. I've had others, but those are the two most prominent ones.
How well do you tend to stick to your resolutions?
Decently. Not religiously. I've had some years where I was better than others, but
All right. You, Jerome?
I like coming up with them.
That's
I've
the first step.
actually it's funny because some of mine I have been good about, but I'm better at following other people's resolutions than I am my own, because it's kind of like a competition. It's
Yeah.
like, well, you said you were going to save this amount of money. Look what I've got. Haha. But no, this year I think I want to be a little bit taller. I think that's my resolution.
Okay.
Yes.
Good luck with that. Good luck with that. I haven't done a New Year's resolution in so long. I just, I tended to stick with them. But I kind of
It
got
is
away from
important to make sure that they are like feasible.
Reasonable,
Yeah,
right.
because if you make it too ambitious, you're gonna
Right.
Well, and
Plunk out.
in your case too, you're like good about keeping your habits though. So there's really not. I mean, I'm sure there's something in your life that you'd be like, wow, that'd be great. But like from knowing you, you just seem like, well, I need to fix this, so I'm gonna get started on that right now. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna wait, however many weeks it is now.
Yeah. So only 18% of adults made a New Year's resolution for 2025.
That's surprising to me.
Only 18%.
So many people talk about it.
Fewer kept them.
Yeah, well, no, that
only
doesn't
about
surprise me.
9% of Americans actually
Yeah.
kept their New Year's resolutions on there. So yeah, and just from the year previous, from 2024, that's significantly down, because in 2024, according to the survey, because we survey everything now, it was 38%. So the majority of Americans haven't done New Year's resolutions in a couple of years.
Lazy slackers. The heck?
They they resolved to not make resolutions.
I guess so.
How do you feel about dual resolutions?
That's right.
I'm gonna do two
What
things
if
here, not just
They're
one.
outsourcing it to AI.
What if they're competing ones on
Yeah.
there? Yeah. So I asked the question a little bit earlier, and I got to really scroll up because we got a lot of comments on this. Do you have any suggestions for resolutions for like people out there?
I do.
Okay, what do we start? We'll start with Susie here.
Dear Democrats, I suggest that you resolve to spend one full day each week not thinking or talking about Donald Trump.
Oh, good luck with that.
Give them something possible, Susie.
Yeah,
Come
really.
on.
Let's see here. Allison on Rumble. I would recommend all politicians resolve to take a constitution and civics class.
I love it.
And read the Bible.
Love it. Love, love, love.
Yeah, I would like to see there be something where they have to spend 1 week living not in their cushy office positions, but actually have to go out and do some sort of manual labor or something. Just live as an average person in your
The
district.
Congress critters?
Yeah, the Congress critters,
Gotcha.
a senator, whoever. You need to spend at least a week living under your own policies as an average person without access to your bank account, so you can remember what it's like to have to deal with you being in office.
The heck with a week, a whole year.
Yes.
Hello. Or just always, whenever you pass a law, it should apply to you.
Yes, and so if if you're doing something with healthcare, you have to use a healthcare proposal that you propose, and it has to be accessible to everybody.
I think that's
Okay. Which, by the way, remember that under the Obamacare, there was somebody who tried to put something in the bill that said that politicians and their staff had to suffer the same coverage, and they've like, nope, we're exempting ourselves, and that's been the law for a long time. Okay, 101 straight up on Rumble says President Trump's New Year's resolution should be to tender his words a little more diplomatic-y. He says, on the other hand, but that's why Donald J. Trump is who he is.
Yeah,
that leopard is not changing his spots.
I don't think
just saying.
Yeah,
he could do well to maybe cut back a little bit, but not change how he does his rhetoric. I
Yeah,
think would be the thing.
yeah. I mean, I've made peace with the fact that he is who he is, and I'm not always going to like the way it comes out. But overall, I like his policies. I
New Year's
prefer him.
resolution for President Trump: stop going after Massey. Stop going after all the conservatives.
You see, now that's that's the loyalty goes both ways.
Yeah,
and that's you. Yeah, that is one that I suspect if there's anybody around him who's brave and is willing to tell him what he doesn't want to hear, they would say, Mr. President, maybe stop attacking the most conservative members of Congress.
Might be helpful.
Yeah, but let's see here. Okay, how about we got a few seconds here. St. Louis Cardinals resolve to do whatever it takes to get a solid pitching rotation, even if it costs money.
Let's do that.
Yes.
I'm on board.
Blues resolve to win more than once
per month.
Yes.
Per month.
I'm on board with that too.
Yeah. We're 3 months into the 2.5 months in the season. They haven't won 10 games yet.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs Attorney at Law has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. We have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters, one call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs Attorney at Law. Call 636-949-0010 extension 3 today or visit colecombs-law.com.
License number E2014A.
Hey, it's good to see you.
Lights flickering?
Chrysler can fix it.
Breaker keeps tripping?
That's a Chrysler job.
Outlet not working?
Chrysler makes it right.
Old wiring need a rewire?
Chrysler rewires with care.
From little fixes to major fixes, we treat your home like our own.
Treat? Did you say treat? Woof.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
KLGY HD3 Clay, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. The FBI has reportedly made an arrest in its nearly 5-year investigation into the planting of a couple of pipe bombs in Washington, D.C., ahead of the 2021 U.S. Capitol riot. According to an unnamed law enforcement official speaking with the AP, those devices did not detonate. No one was hurt. Congress about to take a closer look at what has proven to be a controversial attack on a suspected drug-running boat in the Caribbean.
U.S. forces carried out a follow-up strike. The sources say the rationale was to sink the vessel. On Tuesday, Pete Hegseth said,
A couple of hours later, I learned that commander had made which he had the complete authority to do,
And by the way, Admiral Bradley made the correct decision to ultimately sink the boat and eliminate the threat.
That Commander Admiral Frank Mitch Bradley is expected to discuss the strike at a classified congressional briefing today. Ben Thomas, Washington.
Applications for unemployment benefits dropped last week to 191,000, and that is the lowest level in more than 3 years. A genuine American hero of yesteryear has passed away.
Decorated Native American veteran Charles Shea has died at the age of 101 in France. Shea was a 19-year-old Army medic when he landed on Omaha Beach in Normandy on D-Day in 1944.
Well, I guess I was prepared to give my life if I had to. Fortunately, I did not have to.
Shea was from the Penobscot tribe from Indian Island in Maine and was awarded the Silver Star for repeatedly plunging into the sea and carrying critically wounded soldiers to relative safety. Charles Shea had been living in France since 2018, not far from the shores of Normandy. I'm Ed Donahue.
On Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures up 16 points. NASDAQ futures down 22 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Everyone is watching major movements ripple through the markets these days, sparked by new policy shifts out of Washington and activity from the Federal Reserve. Americans have faced uncertainty before, and every time we've found our footing again. The real secret to long-term financial peace is simple. Keep your eyes on the horizon and understand the fundamentals that drive real stability. That's exactly why Advantage Gold is inviting you to call 800-741-GOLD right now. We'll send you a free Gold IRA rollover kit, along with a complimentary copy of economist Ken Rogoff's insightful book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. Inside, you'll learn how to defend your retirement savings against inflation, market swings, and reckless fiscal policies, with tangible assets like precious metals that have preserved wealth for centuries. It's no wonder Advantage Gold has been America's #1 gold company for the past decade. Take a smart step toward protecting what you've earned. Call 800-741-GOLD. That's 800-741-4653. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call 800-741-GOLD.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. A cold day on deck for Thursday. Only talking highs into the lower 20s. Most of the day going to see feels like temperatures into the teens, into the single digits in some areas. Then as we have Thursday night into Friday, once again going to be seeing overnight lows into the lower teens. Going to be looking at a slight warm-up into the upcoming weekend, dry until Saturday night and early Sunday morning, where we could see a light wintry mix possible. Then a warm-up continues on into midweek next week with highs into mid-40s. In the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
I did something I'm not proud of. I bought a mattress off the internet. No lie, it showed up like a giant burrito. It was lumpy and my back still angry. Then I went to Snooze. They use real Mayo Clinic pressure mapping technology to find my perfect mattress for my body, not some algorithm. And during Black Friday, I saved up to $900 on Stearns & Foster, and I could have saved $600 off Beauty Rest Black. Lesson learned. Snooze is local, expert, and fully stocked. If you don't snooze, you lose.
Well, what is it? Well, it's a radio. It was indeed a radio. The entire neighborhood was turned on. The news, analysis, and opinion poured over me like a warm glass of Ovaltine.
We triple dog dare you to have a Merry Christmas. From Ruthie's Family Restaurant, Williams Brothers Meats, Gulf Shores Restaurant, Food Truck and Catering, and News Talk STL.
What was that? My radio!
Mike Ferguson.
Shut this sucker down.
Susie Moore.
I disagree on his assessment of the situation.
St. Louis.
You're not supposed to lie, but you're definitely not supposed to lie when you're under oath.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, so this is part I told you so, and then this is also part where do we go from here? I mean, get this. We talked about this before on the program. The guy is back on the beat now, an Illinois police officer who was recently detained by ICE for being here illegally, passed his permission to be here. He is working again as a police officer in Illinois.
So they said, hey, we caught you doing a crime. Welcome back.
Yeah. Even though he's not a U.S. citizen. So this is J.B. Pritzker's Illinois, We're now joined by State Representative Adam Neimerg from our friends at the Illinois Freedom Caucus. Okay, let's start there because, Adam, I don't remember if it was you or a different member of the Freedom Caucus. We talked about this very situation where somebody who is a non-citizen, because we talked about the bill, we were pointing out that the bill would allow non-citizens to be certified law enforcement in Illinois, and have non-citizens have literal state power and authority over citizens. And there was enough of a problem with that. And somebody from the Freedom Caucus, I don't remember who it was, said, yeah, who's to stop this from extending to illegal aliens under, the J.B. Pritzker worldview, under the Democrats' worldview in Illinois? And the answer, of course, was, well, that will never happen. But it did. And so this guy gets picked up by ICE. That makes the news. And now we find out that he got hired by another police department in suburban Chicago. And so we have somebody in the country who's confirmed to not be here legally at the moment, literally has arrest power over American citizens. How in the world does this happen?
That's a very good question. Thanks for having me on again here this morning. And yes, that's something that we're going to be asking. We're launching a full investigation, working with ICE and DHS to try to get to the bottom of this, because you have a situation where Governor J.B. Pritzker is allowing, again, the rights, which they, under the Constitution, you're here illegally. You don't have the same rights as a citizen, but he puts the rights of these non-citizens ahead of rights of citizens. So you have a situation where you have somebody that's here quite potentially illegally. He's definitely a non-citizen, and he's allowed to carry a firearm whenever we have the most restrictive gun laws here in the state of Illinois. One of the first questions that's asked when you're applying for a FOID card is, are you a citizen? That disqualifies this individual immediately, one, from carrying a firearm, and two, you have a situation where you're having a non-citizen. You have somebody that's here that is not a citizen of the United States of America or a citizen of the state of Illinois with arrest powers over everybody listening that's here, that's grown up here, that's here, that's a citizen, a naturalized citizen, has arrest powers over everybody here. That is very, very, very scary. His visa expired in 2015, and this police department points to a memorandum that was issued under the Biden administration that allows him to carry a firearm while he's on duty. Also, a work permit that he has to be here to work. So I have a lot of questions here. If his visa expired in 2015, how does he have an active work visa? Also, we need to get to the bottom of the Biden administration and the Pritzker administration on this DOJ memo on January 5th, 2024, that allows this illegal immigrant to carry a firearm on duty. This is absolutely ridiculous.
Adam, how did the conversations go when this was being debated in the legislature? Because it wasn't that long ago that this law was passed. Now, obviously, this was passed after this guy apparently got into this line of work. I mean, what do the Democrats say when you point out this is insane? We understand that you're pro illegal alien, but can't we draw the line somewhere before arming them with handcuffs and guns?
Well, it was sleight of hand by the Democrats once again, and it's something I've seen over the years so many times. So the Democrats said, well, we're going to have this bill to allow DACA recipients or folks that are here on work visas, whatever it is, basically just they're still in some way, shape, or form non-citizens or qualify as illegal immigrants. But it was, we're going to allow them to be citizens. And the caveat to that was, well, there is an amendment in this bill that says they have to comply with federal law, and federal law still says that they're not allowed to carry firearms. Well, the Democrats knew what was happening, knew what was coming, knew how they could work hand in hand with the Biden administration. You have a DOJ memorandum issued saying they can carry firearms on duty as long as law enforcement checks those firearms before duty and after duty, and they're in possession of the law enforcement agency. Then that non-citizen can now carry that firearm while they are on duty. Basically, it is sleight of hand by the Democrats. J.B. Pritzker knows what he's doing. The Illinois Democrats know what they're doing, and they're just lying to get to the end goal, which is allowing a non-citizen to be a police officer in the state of Illinois. And again, this goes even further than just police officers, and we're going to see this be a major issue for several years. We have non-citizens, illegals, quite frankly, actual illegals that are allowed to have driver's licenses and CDLs. In Coles County, we just had a board member that was killed in a traffic accident by a drunken illegal immigrant. And these things are happening in the state of Illinois. We see that in Champaign, where two young college girls were killed by a drunken illegal immigrant in a traffic stop. So again, Governor J.B. Pritzker, Illinois Democrats spend $3.2 billion on illegal immigrants, free health care, free housing, free cell phones, and now we have law enforcement with non-citizens. This has to stop.
And this after he was released, and I'm not sure why he was released by ICE. I don't know what the legalities are. He was hired by a department and he's back on the beat, knowing that he was detained for being an illegal alien. I mean, it just blows my mind that there is a city that says, sure, here, take our gun.
Yeah, not only that, full back pay.
Not only that, what?
Full back pay.
Oh, full back pay. Oh,
full back pay for the time he was off. Yep.
Oh,
full
my
back pay, and then they
goodness.
keep pointing. Yep, full back pay, folks.
Oh, geez. Oh, my goodness. All right. We're visiting with State Representative Adam Neimerg, a member of the Illinois Freedom Caucus here. Okay, so along the lines of the public safety issue, I remember, us talking about the Safety Act. And, of course, a lot of attention was that's not going to allow bail for criminal suspects, except in very extreme circumstances. And it's on the burden of the prosecutors on the state to prove that there's an extraordinary risk. And now this has not been in place that long, and we're already seeing some regret, and we're seeing it even from some of the Democrats. What's the word on that right now?
Well, I see the Governor J.B. Pritzker says he wants to tweak the Safety Act. Well, we've been saying this for years, that the Safety Act is a complete and total failure. And the only tweaking that needs to be done in the state of Illinois is for my articles of impeachment to go forward and we get rid of Governor J.B. Pritzker. You can't even have a lighting ceremony for Christmas trees in the city of Chicago without a shooting and somebody being killed. It is a war zone in Chicago. It's gone from the John Hughes 1980s, 90s, where I grew up, to some kind of total recall dystopian nightmare in Chicago. So this Safety Act has been a complete and total train wreck. It's going to cost J.B. Pritzker. The Illinois Democrats knew what they were doing with this. This no cash bail has been a complete failure. And furthermore, that individual that was apprehended for the deaths of the Coles County board member in my district had an illegal immigrant assailant in that vehicle with him. The next day, that individual was released because of the Safety Act. Now, we still have that one individual that committed this act is in prison, but the other individual was let go. But thanks to Donald Trump and DHS, ICE was there to apprehend that illegal immigrant. But if we had been under Governor J.B. Pritzker's thumb, if we'd have been under former, well, I don't want to say president, but Joe Biden, that would not have happened. That assailant would have been released and gone on his own recognizance. But in the state of Illinois, under Governor J.B. Pritzker, we continue to prioritize illegals. We continue to put the safety and security of the folks that are here last. And I guarantee you next fall, that's going to come back and haunt the Illinois Democrats because of these terrible policies.
Okay, so what kind of tweaks does the other side seem to be open to? I mean, it's one thing to say, okay, we got to nibble around the edges, but what can get done, if anything?
Well, they haven't told us anything. They haven't shared that information with the Republican caucus or with myself or anybody because, quite frankly, I don't think they really mean it or want to do it. I know the Black Caucus that probably doesn't want to touch that. Governor J.B. Pritzker, deep down, the only reason he is saying these things because it's been a complete and total failure. He's the most woke governor in this union. He gives, he makes Newsom look like a conservative on some things, which is very, very scary. So no, they don't mean it by any way, shape, or form to actually reform the Safety Act. But when it comes down to it, it needs a full repeal. That's what we need to get down to. Law enforcement has said it's a failure. The judicial system, every state's attorney I talk to, every judge that I talk to, sees that it's a failure, and it's a national embarrassment that the Pritzker administration has put this as the law of the land in the state of Illinois.
All right, what's next on the radar for the Freedom Caucus in Illinois over the course of this and next year? Big picture goals. Of course, you guys are. I always compare you all to like Sisyphus trying to push that rock up the hill in Illinois, in deep blue Illinois with J.B. Pritzker. But I appreciate that you keep pushing.
Oh, thanks, and I really do, folks. Follow us on. Go to our Freedom Caucus Facebook page, Twitter, X. Follow me at Adam Neimerg, State Representative on Facebook or X. And our main goal is to be the North Star of conservatism and to really talk about what the Democrats are doing and not be quiet about these really important issues and push back on the woke agenda, the massive taxation, property taxes out of control, safety and security, in our state. Talk about school choice, talk about the things that the Democrats are pushing down on our public education system. Folks, that's something that is paramount that we need to be on top of. So these are the things we're going to keep pushing back on. You see a bad bill, you let us know, we'll let you know, and just follow us on Facebook and X and be in touch.
All right. Then, Adam, I know that I'm not asking you to give me names or who you're supporting, but there's a number of candidates for governor on the Republican side. Can a Republican make a real run for governor this year? And what kind of impact could that have if at least they have a competitive race?
I think a Republican can make a good run against Governor J.B. Pritzker this cycle. But that being said, we have to be very well organized, much more organized than we have been in the past. The Republican Party really needs to come together to really push Governor J.B. Pritzker out. One is we need the financing. So folks really need to come together on the financing. And two, we need the infrastructure to get out the vote, and not only to flip some Dems over to our side based on these issues, but also the low propensity Republican voters that have they usually want to stay at home, especially in the midterms. We need to chase these ballots down, just like they did in Pennsylvania that gave the win to Donald Trump. And these are the things we need to be doing. We need to be very active. So we need to have a very good infrastructure. We need to have the financing to back it up. And I think Governor J.B. Pritzker can be beat.
All right. Thanks, Adam. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Just ahead here, a local school district is being asked to show the receipts. Why did they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and just give it to a guy who never worked there? Details just ahead at 8:20 in the news dump.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
What was once considered radical is now mainstream.
On NewsTalkSTL.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli, and my favorite sandwich from Capriati's is the Wagyu beef French dip. So good. It's the au jus that makes it. And the Wagyu beef is pretty good, too. I love Capriati's, and you will, too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
NPR, guess what? Got the funding, and they're going to close down operations. If they're not going to get federal funding, well, then guess what? There are plenty of radio salespeople out there in the United States who can sell time. Big time. You know why they don't sell hire a sales team? Because nobody will buy advertising because they suck so bad.
Oh my God.
You don't see people.
You're so correct. That's it right there.
Vic Porcelli, live and local weekday mornings at 9 on NewsTalkSTL.
Looking for the best selection of firearms in the St. Louis region? Drive to Osage County Guns. Conveniently located off I-70, just 25 minutes from St. Charles. We've got thousands of guns in stock, the largest selection of handguns, rifles, and shotguns around. Trade in or sell your old guns for cash and shop our wide variety of premium Winchester ammunition made right here in the USA. Visit us online at ocgmo.com, or better yet, make the drive to Osage County Guns and see why we're the St. Louis region's favorite.
Why are you going to work? It's Sunday.
It's a brand new show on NewsTalkSTL. JC's Sunday Showgram.
It was 35 years ago this week. People all over the Midwest were anticipating a giant earthquake. The story of Dr. Ivan Browning. Plus, Roger Daltrey tells us about the tragedy of the 1979 Who concert in Cincinnati, and we crack open the Christmas library. All brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
Sunday morning, 7 to 9. Then podcast each Monday on NewsTalkSTL.com.
Rhino Shield is engineered to outlast paint, formulated to outsmart the elements. Rain or shine, sleet or snow, mold or mildew. Our home exterior coatings intelligently designed to stand up to Mother Nature. Call 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the all-new NewsTalkSTL app.
Love the all-new app.
And listen anytime, anywhere.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
All right. As I just mentioned, hundreds of thousands of dollars from taxpayers just handed over to a guy who never worked for an area school district, but the school district gave him the money.
What is going on with our schools?
That is what a state official is asking. He is demanding some answers. I got the details for you on that for you here in a moment. Also, should MoDOT be liable when their screw ups cause or at least allow accidents to happen that wouldn't otherwise happen?
That's a good question.
Interesting question here. Also, the redistricting fight about to go to the next round in Missouri, and we're learning some things about those involved, and they could be very interesting. It is 8:20 right now. Let's go ahead and do a news dump.
The morning news dump brought to you by the Nutrition Stop. The morning news dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The morning news dump.
Okay, where do we start the stories about all the malfeasance? Washington, D.C. Let's do that. All right.
That's a good place to start.
Because there's a heavy load of content and fodder there. All right. Former Justice Department Special Counsel Jack Smith was subpoenaed on Wednesday. He's going to be interviewed by members of Congress behind closed doors. Congressman Jim Jordan, Republican, was on Fox News's Hannity yesterday saying he's going to be questioning Smith about the analysis of phone records of several Republican lawmakers and what we're referring to as the Operation Arctic Frost.
Some people, like myself, up to 2.5 years of their phone records. Who they called, who called them, when they called them, how long the call lasted, and if you initiated that call, they knew where you were at when you made the call.
So generally speaking, the lawmakers whose phone records were analyzed under Arctic Frost, they were involved with or possibly going to be involved with the challenge to the results of the 2020 election, and also this related to the January 6th stuff. Smith's lawyers say he didn't do nothing wrong, and they're defending his actions.
But he knows the NSA is doing this to all of us right now, right? I mean, he's heard. I mean, that's not. It's hard for me to be like outraged and sympathetic because that's just what the NSA does.
You know, what's funny is because there were a couple of Republicans who were monitored under Arctic Frost, and it was pointed out they're outraged, and we're like, wait a minute, but you voted to let the government do that to us because you were around, when the Patriot Act was. I mean, like, so yeah, it shouldn't have happened to you, but it shouldn't happen to us either. But shut up.
Now, when Chris Arps was filling in, he did raise a good point, though, that they're because it is the government hurting the government, that whatever settlements or whatever comes of it, it's going to come from our tax funds.
That's right.
But there should be maybe a case where they could do like some sort of lawsuit against the people that perpetrated it, because even though I'm aware that this stuff goes on to all of us, it's I can still acknowledge that it was wrong of them to try to do this, and that it was an abuse of authority under the Biden administration.
And we should be allowed to redress our grievances when they do it to us as well. So I say, let them do it if you want, but then let us do it too. But they don't allow that.
No,
we're just the peasants.
Us little peasants,
little people. All right. The Francis House School District gets a subpoena from the state auditor, and this is over hundreds of thousands of dollars paid to the dude who never worked there.
See, that one, I needed to hear more about this because this sounds absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah, well, it only sounds that way because it is. KMOV's Morgan Harris has the basic details for us.
Now, back in March, the school district hired Mike Dominguez to run the district, but resigned just days before he was supposed to start. Then the Francis Howell Board of Education approved a nearly $230,000 settlement payout for Dominguez. Now the state says the school district refuses to explain why it negotiated the buyout, leading to those subpoenas.
Okay, so the district this week actually hired interim superintendent Mark Delaney to fill that role on a permanent basis. But just the key points here, they hired this Dominguez guy to be the new superintendent. Okay, whatever. They settled the contract. Days before he is to start, he tells them he's not going to take the job after all, and he takes a job somewhere else in the country. And then they pay him $230,000 to buy out the job that he never showed up for.
Okay, so an initial instinct, I can imagine perhaps that it was some sort of clerical error that occurred, some miscommunication, some incompetence that would occur to where for some reason he was still labeled or in the system as this position after formally resigning. And then,
but his start date hadn't happened yet.
Well, so that's where I'm going with it, though, is that would be my initial instinct until you get to the point where they're not even willing to discuss what happened.
Right.
And then it becomes something of, well, that changes the dynamic of how innocent versus nefarious this could be.
I mean, I was offered a job once years and years and years ago. And the week before, I'm just like, this is not the right fit. I need a job, but and I just called them and said, guys, this isn't the right fit.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just not going to do it. But I never expected them to pay me for not being there. And the funny part was they're like, yeah, we didn't think it was the right fit either. So this is good. You're saving us a lot of trouble. But in this case right here, he was never the superintendent, and he was paid $230,000 to continue to not be the superintendent. Listen, Francis L. School Board, I will not be your superintendent for half that price.
Oh, yeah. And the gentleman that this happened to is listening for some reason. Go out and buy a lottery ticket real quick, man.
Kidding.
I mean, holy cow.
Good God. All right. After years of political pressure, the Army Corps of Engineers is adding $40 million to the Coldwater Creek cleanup effort in North County.
Finally.
Yeah. Radioactive waste, as I'm sure everybody knows, was dumped there in the area. It's been affecting people for decades. This goes back to like the 50s. I mean, this goes back like 75, 80 years. Earlier this year, the EPA said that the contamination cleanup won't be completed until 2038. And so I say political pressure, and this came from both Republicans and Democrats. Primarily on the Republican side, there was always complaining about it. Josh Hawley took it to another level. And to give credit where credit is legitimately due, Cori Bush made a lot of work on this as well. And I think Josh Hawley probably had more to do with it, but give credit where credit's due. Cori Bush was also one of those applying the pressure when she was in office. Now, thank God she's not in office anymore, because Wesley Bell will do the same thing. But I just want to be intellectually honest about it.
And I mean, radioactive waste is never good, ever. I don't know if it evaporates like some of these other chemicals do and goes
It's in the ground. Yeah.
Okay, so fortunately, it doesn't sound like there's a lot of risk of it going into rainwater and contaminating other areas, but still, you can't just ignore that and leave it there.
It's in the groundwater. So it's really bad.
Okay,
there's like higher levels of cancer and all kinds of stuff.
That's horrible.
All right. President Trump wants to lower the Biden era fuel economy requirements for new cars and trucks.
The administration has announced plans to roll back fuel economy standards for light duty vehicles.
It was ridiculous, very expensive. It put tremendous upward pressure on car prices.
The transportation secretary said the Biden era rules aimed at limiting air pollution were completely unattainable for automakers. If the plan is approved, new vehicles would need to average roughly 34 miles per gallon instead of 50. Greg Clugston, Washington.
And President Trump is 100% correct on this.
Yeah, I would love to see 100 miles per gallon cars, but I don't want it to be because of stupid, frivolous, mandates from the government. I want to see it because of actual engineering, revolution.
And because the market demands it, and there's a way for it to deliver at a price point we can afford. And when President Trump in that soundbite, he goes that put upward pressure on prices. He's absolutely right. It's more expensive to have those other vehicles, which means more cars are out of reach of the people who need their own transportation the most but can't afford it. So President Trump is 100% correct on that one. Okay, should MoDOT be liable if you crash on the highway? Okay, there's a deeper question here. State Senator Nick Schroer tells Fox 2 that he wants to see the partial immunity that protects the department. He wants to see that ended if it can be proven that MoDOT inaction or mistakes caused the losses. So in other words, there was a crash, there was a loss, there was something, but that would not have happened had MoDOT done its job. That's basically what we're talking about.
I mean, that's fair.
Now, this comes days after MoDOT failed to pre-treat or plow major highways around St. Louis before snow fell, when that snow was in the forecast for days.
Yeah, and I believe you mentioned earlier, too, I mean, how much responsibility is on the drivers themselves, which I can understand, because if once snow starts to fall or when rain starts to fall, the hazard conditions, if people don't adjust, it's increased quite a bit. But at a certain point, too, if snow sits there for quite a while and then it starts to thaw a little bit, it could freeze back over. And there are times where I was going 20 under speed limit, and I've got a 4-wheel drive vehicle and I'm still drifting on the road.
Yeah.
So I can see, I think that this is a right direction, but it should be used sparingly, if that makes sense.
Right. So, and at least the threat maybe would bring a little more accountability and urgency from MoDOT. Okay. This is interesting. The United States is no longer going to officially commemorate World AIDS Day.
President Trump has instructed federal offices to stop spending taxpayer dollars on the event, which has come to be seen as something that promotes the LGBT agenda. The administration says it will continue helping in the global fight against the disease, but will skip the commemorative aspects. Before winning his second term, the president vowed to stop spending money on promoting the LGBT agenda after hearing from many angry constituents. Michael Harrington reporting.
That's fair.
That's interesting, yeah.
I mean, because on the one hand, with all the medication advertisements I'm subjected to for some reason, I don't live that kind of lifestyle, but I see a lot of stuff that says you can live forever if you on this AIDS medication now. It's not a big deal like it was back when it was still a relatively unknown. And so I get that. Now, the idea of it being tied to LGBT stuff, it's a little interesting because not everybody that has it's not like monkeypox where the primary way it was spreading was because, so yeah, anything to cut back on funding of that, I'm okay with, but
yeah, so they're just saying they're not going to do away with the research. They're not going to do away with the, treatments or whatever it is. They're just not going to do the proclamations. They're not going to hold events. They're not going to do that, but they're still going to do the research work.
Yeah, I mean, we don't do that with any other transmitted virus like that. It's not like we have I don't know, HPV day or anything like that. So
yeah. All right, the Blues back on the ice tonight. They play the Bruins. This one is in Boston. Puck drops at 6:00 our time. If you care enough to watch, it's on FanDuel. I don't think there's that many people left because the Blues are 9, 11, and 7 on the season.
Oh, come on.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I've driven all over Washington, D.C. I cannot find the money tree.
On Newstalk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Koch with your first alert forecast. A cold day on deck for Thursday. Only talking highs into the lower 20s most of the day. Going to see feels like temperatures into the teens, into the single digits in some areas. Then as we head Thursday night into Friday, once again, going to be seeing overnight lows into the lower teens. Going to be looking at a slight warm-up into the upcoming weekend, dry until Saturday night and early Sunday morning, where we could see a light wintry mix possible. Then a warm-up continues on into midweek next week with highs into mid-40s. In the first alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scott.
Fox News commentary with Tommy Lahren next.
I'm alpine skier Michaela Schifrin. I've won the most World Cup ski races in history. But what does success mean to me? Success means discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us. And it's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management firms in the country. If you're looking for success, surround yourself with the people who will get you there. If you're an advisor or investor, choose Stifel, where success meets success.
Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated. Member SIPC and NYSE.
Past performance is no indication of future results. Investing involves risk. Consult a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Here's Tommy Lahren.
So the Afghan national who murdered at least one National Guard soldier was allowed entry into this country under the Joe Biden auto pen regime and his Operation Allies Welcome. He was supposedly vetted, though that's a crock because even under the best of circumstances, you can't vet people from war-torn terrorist backward nations where they keep no valid records and whose main and perhaps only export is terrorism. And let's be honest, the auto pen regime didn't even try. The protocol after that botched withdrawal from Afghanistan was to basically load every Tom, Dick, Harry, and Mohammed onto a plane and hope for the best. The directive was to err on the side of excess. Well, excess is what we got, all right? Thanks a million, or I guess I should say thanks 190,000, because that's how many they brought over here that we know of.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. It's only called STL Windows and Doors. Their Provia windows combine old world craftsmanship the professional way, the Provia way, with over 65 years of combined experience, locally owned, offering competitive pricing and personalized service that the big box companies can't match. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
I remember my son was going to grow up without a father.
I didn't think someone at 23 could be diagnosed with breast cancer.
I was probably the healthiest I had been in my life.
Early detection of a melanoma saved my life.
I survived testicular cancer because of early detection.
I survived cancer not once, but twice because of early detection.
Hi, I'm Congressman Bob Onder. Early detection equals better outcomes. Learn what routine cancer screenings you need and book your doctor's appointment today.
This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
No big old corporate lib AM station telling us what to say here. Conservative talk for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Hey folks, Jamie Allman here, waiting for you for the 3 Martini Lunch, the Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Now back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, got a question for you. Would you ride in a driverless car?
No. Unless it's my own car that I have a trustworthy mechanic that can go through and verify everything is going to work. No.
Okay, so there's a couple angles of this. Waymo, I guess, is a rideshare service. I'm not familiar with it, but it's coming to St. Louis. And it is the driverless automated cars. Like AI drives you and the satellite tracking drives you.
Yeah. I remember that company now. Yeah.
Okay, so here's what's a lot of people like me. I'm like you. I kind of am like, I'm not wild about this. I don't like getting into a car and there's nobody there that I can say, oh, wait, stop. No, that's not right. Whatever the case is. But get this, in Los Angeles this week, somebody was doing a Waymo ride and the Waymo car, the route that it was taking, took it right through the middle of a police standoff with a suspect with the guns drawn in like an action movie scene.
Okay, maybe I will get into a Waymo.
Right.
Let's hear more about that.
And so here's actual people. Of course, everybody's got their phones out. This is actual audio from when that happened. They're like watching the police standoff, and then this car with no driver just goes through.
Oh my God. Oh my God. What is that Waymo doing?
I mean, there's nobody you can yell at. There's no driver.
He's like, it sounded like to me. He's like, you need to leave. He's like, I'm trying to.
Yeah, he's like, I can't get out.
Okay, if you had a bulletproof, bomb-proof, whatever, basically an automated tank that you could get tourists to go in and say, here are the most dangerous parts of the nation. We're gonna do I might be interested.
A crime tour.
Yeah, a little crime tour, but at the same time, no, that right there is actually my concern. Is that I'm either going to get into it, and some bad actor is going to be like, hey, cool, he's in the car now. Let's take him somewhere he doesn't want to go. Or it's going to get lost and it's not going to be able to reroute. So then it's just driving in circles while I'm trapped in the car, running up the fare price. I mean,
right.
I just don't. But then again, I know how Chicago and St. Louis drivers are. So maybe if there has to be some way to balance the two, to where it's not going through an active crime scene, but also maybe a little bit safer than the way that people are already driving.
Yeah. So there's the variety question, because I mean, I'm with my incredibly limited amount of technological understanding. Okay. My very limited amount. The computer system, the satellite system, whatever, the GPS system that's guiding this vehicle. This is a full-size automobile.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever that street was the nearest route. And when there's a standoff or they don't alert the system. They don't alert the grid to that. I mean, when you're using your maps, like I was, where was I driving? Someplace I needed to use maps to get to. And somebody had reported like a wreck.
Mm-hmm.
And when I would drive to Florida and back, you would see that where it's like, hey, road hazard come up or police radar, and then you drive by and like, is it still there? And you can click on it. Well, nobody does that when there's a police standoff in LA. And so the Waymo car is like going on its happy way right on through.
Yeah, and I found that out too, is that when you see it's like a speed trap ahead, it's usually the cop themselves that's sitting there saying, hey, I'm here because if you're paying attention, we want you to drive safer. And if you're not, well, then you get your ticket. But when time is of the essence, the first instinct is not, by the way, let's go in the GPS to notify everybody. And if you're an on-stander, you're probably sitting there with the phone and you're not thinking about updating that. So that is definitely a real concern. The other thing too is, I don't know how good their cars are reacting, but let's say it's hazardous conditions. The car is smart enough to know to decelerate, but then there's an accident in front of you. Mm-hmm. And because it hasn't been updated in the system yet, you plow right into them.
Yeah. I mean, like for instance, I know my mom's car is a little bit newer than mine, and hers actually has that system that will, if you are rushing up on somebody, it will brake for you.
Oh,
if you can't get to it fast enough. Mine will alert, if I'm going different, but mine doesn't actually. But there are cars that we've got that system already in place. But I still just think it would be weird to sit in the back or front, wherever you sit in a Waymo car, just sit there and nobody is driving you and you're just reliant on the Orwellian whatever. But listen, my wife can't wait for driverless cars. She wants to be able to drive somewhere and do her reading and, and send her messages and she can't wait till she can just be along as a passenger instead of doing the driving. I don't see it that way at all. I see it like more your way. But then again, I'm a little bit older than my wife too. I'm not we're like 7 years difference, 6-7 years difference. But with this case here, it's coming to St. Louis. Waymo puts out the announcement. It's funny because City Hall's like, we haven't received any license applications for this. But then the question is it a ride share? Is it a taxi? Or is it something else? Because it may not fit into those categories. And if it doesn't fit in the categories, then do you need anything other than like a business license? I remember when the Bird scooters went on, there was a big to-do about that. They didn't like those at all. And eventually they ran most of those out of St. Louis.
Yeah. And that's kind of the issue with this sort of thing is that on the one hand, there's the regulation element of it.
Right.
Is can I just go out, buy a self-driving car and then hand out, because I know somebody that did this, he would rent a van, he would go around to like the hotels and places during conventions, hand out business cards, and you call them up. If you and your buddies drink too much, he would show up in his van, drive you around. Wasn't technically operating as a taxi or a ride share. It was just a little kind of thing.
No, he kind of was. He kind of was.
For the sake of not getting him in trouble with the IRS.
For a good reason.
But,
I mean, yeah. But see, that's the stuff I think should be legal because of my entrepreneurial mindset. I say government, get out of the way. The dude's solving a problem.
But when it comes to self-driving or any sort of automation, there has to be the infrastructure available.
Right.
It needs to be, Louisville, Kentucky has random one-way roads because they built the city when it was fine to do that, and then they expanded. And so they like the people that know how to drive there, they know when to expect it. But I can imagine if you don't have the infrastructure already planned out and designed specifically for that service, and then on top of that, human error is a thing. So if it's one self-driving car in a sea of people, I can imagine that being an issue. Whereas if it's one driving person in a sea of self-driving cars, then the network itself should be in a way that it would be able to account for
what
that.
happens if a Waymo vehicle causes a wreck? Who gets the ticket? I mean, if you're the only one in the car, do you get the ticket? I mean, you're not in control.
And that's a very good point as well. Does the company get sued? I mean,
I don't know.
So that's why maybe I'm technophobic.
I think you're friendlier to technology than I am.
I think I understand it a little bit better, but that's also why I am very hesitant to embrace it as much. And again, it's not the worst idea in areas where it might be highly congested, where there would be some level of benefit to be, having, but if it runs a red light for some reason, right?
Right.
I mean, Chicago's notorious. They have those little street cameras and it's a yellow light for half a second. You start going, it's a red light. Now you got a ticket. Yes, personal story. But if that happens, then is a company going to get ticketed? And I guess if you're a large enough company to where you can do that, then economically speaking, it's not a bad idea compared to the Bird scooters, where I've seen people, they were finding all types of ways to cause havoc with them.
Yeah. We had problems in downtown St. Louis, and so there's the question is, should they be legal? And then there's the question of, is it a good idea? And I would do it. Well, one's a freedom versus regulation issue, and the other is just personal preference issue.
Well, because I was thinking too about like the whole truck driver situation, right?
Tesla wants self-driving trucks,
and people were all up in arms and saying you're going to take our jobs. And then we found out that there are a lot of illegals being hired because they don't have enough already. And it would be actually safer, from what we're finding out now, to have a self-driving truck act as like a little, what would you call it, like a street trainer or trolley, whatever, and be able to do like intermodal things, short distance intermodal things, than it would be to hire some of these people that are not even able to read the street sign. So I think it depends on the area. I don't know enough about the traffic of downtown St. Louis specifically to know if this is a good idea or not. But if it was something where it's like a rural area, you don't have a whole lot of traffic, but you're trying to get from point A to point B, or like a business commute just from I could see it being.
If you were doing the 18-wheeler, delivering Walmart, or from a distro center from St. Louis to Kansas City, or Kansas City to St. Louis, or to Omaha or Des Moines or something, where it's almost all rural highway, much less of a risk.
Versus if you're a delivery driver that has to make stops constantly, I can see that being a huge issue with that. And maybe that's why we haven't seen it branching into that yet.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know. Shoot me know. Would you get into a driverless Waymo? Because apparently that's going to be available possibly this week in St. Louis.
Bring your bulletproof vests. Oh, and I would also be remiss if I did not mention that we are doing Flashback Fridays again. Yeah. And so this week, because it is so darn cold outside, we've decided, against my will, but we've decided the theme of the songs are going to have to do with the cold, or songs you can listen to when you're cold to help you warm up.
Oh, okay.
And yes, the Christmas songs will be coming, but we have to wait for Mike to be gone for that.
Yes. Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
If you're worried about losing your health insurance through Medicaid, we have great news for you. New government regulations have expanded the Affordable Care Act. And now you may qualify to get health insurance for you and your family through the Affordable Care Act. Call now to learn if you qualify. We know the healthcare regulations regarding Medicaid, and we've helped thousands of people find quality, affordable health insurance. Plus, all our research is free to you. So call us. With just one call, we'll shop from hundreds of different insurance companies to find you the right affordable health insurance plan. So if you're worried about losing your Medicaid insurance, call right now. Speak with a licensed agent and find how you may qualify for a new health insurance plan.
800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. That's 800-479-0931. Paid for by the Health Insurance Hotline.
Colombo and Company.
President Trump just reset federal fuel standards raised by Biden, a move he says will save Americans billions. We'll discuss Thursday. Plus, Virginia Cruda and Dr. Randy Toll.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on Newstalk STL.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning, people.
So 101 straight up on Rumble says he would be uncomfortable in a self-driving car. Having said that, autonomous trucks are here to stay. He's probably right. I understand that I don't like it, but that doesn't make any difference whatsoever. And the funny part was we were just kind of digging into this just a second ago in that information segment. All of this was predicted in the 1980s.
Oh, yeah.
You remember the show Knight Rider?
I've seen clips of that,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah, that was before your time, like literally.
Yeah.
And so David Hasselhoff was the star of the show, but the real star of the show was the car, which was known as KIT, which was Knight 2000 or something like that. And it was a Trans Am, and they had like a sensor on the front that went back and forth, went woo, 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 you know, and it had a personality, and it talked to Michael Knight, which is what we would now call AI.
Mm-hmm.
And it could drive driverless by the AI if Michael Knight needed to be like rescued from some action scene or whatever the case is. And it's funny because it was sci-fi and it was fantasy and it was action back in 80, whatever that show was on. And now we're looking and we're talking in 2025, almost 2026 about driverless cars and artificial intelligence and us simply getting in and letting that take us for a ride.
Well, and I was trying to think of my own experience. When I was a kid, there was a Batman cartoon, and
Mhm.
Batman would, he needed to get to the other part of the city to stop the bad guys. So he would type on his little, bat communicator, and then the plane would show up and he would grapple onto it. So, I mean, the elements were, and that was when my mom was still using MapQuest to get us places. So,
Oh yeah, I remember.
so that was still predating AI.
I
sort of
used
predictive.
MapQuest a lot.
I did too. And then Google Maps became a thing, and I was like, this changes everything. And then I never learned to read a map.
Okay, so here then, this is just what popped in my head. How much of this is we're turning over responsibility for things in our life to the AI, the infrastructure, the grid that we don't really understand, most of us, versus these are tools of convenience that just allow us to do more with the resources and time that we do have. Because I don't want to be the grumpy old guy that doesn't look at a new tool as something that can allow me to do more stuff that I love to do.
Yeah, and it's and that's sort of I think the core issue that a lot of people are, at least the younger people, are having about economic anxiety, future anxiety, stuff like that, is that we have gotten to a point with a lot of technology where there are obsolete. I mean, we don't need board operators to patch calls through anymore because we have got cell phones, right? And the way that technology advances that we've observed, and this is only consumer level, there's a lot of technology that exists that I'm sure we're not even aware of yet that will hit the markets in a few years. And that's going to definitely create residual issues because, like with GPSs, I don't know how to read a map. I like looking at maps. I think it's cool.
When I was a kid, we planned out all of our trips on a paper map. My dad, every 2 or 3 years, we'd get him the nice leather-bound Rand McNally map that you could go to in Pages, and we would, my mom would navigate on the roads. Okay, coming up here is going to be this, and we did it on paper.
Yeah, and that's how my grandfather said. He was, he kind of was mocking me lovingly, but he said that, back in my day, we had a compass in the car and we had a map, and then you
had a compass too.
And then if you got lost, you took a wrong exit, you would ask the locals. They would tell you how to get back to where you're going. And so I've had that happen. My phone died. I'm driving home. I'm like, I know I'm close, but I just need to know how to get back to this main road.
Right.
Go to a gas station, go to whoever. And I'm like, hey, can you tell me how to get back here? Well, Google Maps.
Yeah.
Don't you have Google Maps? Are you silly? And I'm like, so we've really lost a lot because the convenience is there and we become too reliant. That's the issue.
Right. So the maps has been a game changer, obviously, in a lot of different ways, even just around town. Like, hey, I'm going to go have a meeting here. I don't know where that is. Just put in the address and go. Like, Monday, I was meeting one of my buddies, my baseball buddies, because he wanted to throw a bullpen. He needed a catcher. I'd never been to the sports mall in South County before. Which is really a cool place, by the way. And so just type it in and then it sends me on my way. And then, of course, I sit there for an hour and a half in snow-induced traffic. But still, it got me there. I know how to get there. I didn't have to worry about taking a wrong turn on that. But when you get to the next level here, it feels weird. But how much of it is I have bigger ethical or whatever questions about it versus I just don't want to change. And the world is changing. And this could be a tool that just makes my life easier. So just get over it and learn it. Where's that right balance in there?
And that's, I think, the good question too, because personally, I don't think that there's anything wrong with somebody saying, I really liked the way that things were, let's say in the 90s, right? I still have my VHS player and my Sony Walkman. I'm not going to get a Spotify subscription and a Hulu subscription, right? So I mean, even with smart TVs, I'm not going to buy a smart TV. I have no need for that. But I do think as well is that when it comes to how competitive you have to be. So with the older people that are already getting close to maybe retirement and they already have their life set up to be able to not have to worry about incorporating all this technology, I think that's a little bit different than quite literally there are jobs where I don't have enough AI experience to make it work. So I can't even though I have every other skill that they would ever possibly need, because I'm not proficient with certain coding languages or AI languages, I just am not going to ever be considered for that. And that's, I think, the more residual is how quickly are we forcing the future upon each other? A ride share with a driverless car, or, I mean, I like trolleys. So if you had public transportation, a public bus, and there was no driver on the bus, and it was just, you get on the bus, you go somewhere, the bus drops you off, and it's only set on that schedule. I think that's just more of a convenience.
Yeah. That's almost more like a light rail.
Yeah, it would be like a street train is what I call it, because it's fun. So something like that, like a submarine that is just going around doing submarine stuff, but it's automated. That is something I can imagine is like, okay, that's more of a convenience. It just helps us all out with what we need done. Whereas if it's something of the nature of like, hey, now you have to know all of this, like every research, for example, I know how to use databases and I know like proper etiquette of searching terms and fact checking versus people a couple years younger than me. It's like, well, I can just put this in AI and then AI will tell you where the source came from. It'll give you a summary. So you don't actually know the knowledge. You didn't have to look at it, but you have the source for your citation. And then you can go and find a quote. And then that's how a lot of research that I've from people I've talked to is going down.
Yeah. Now there's a difference between research and looking stuff up on the internet.
Yes.
There's a big difference. And a lot of people are like, I did my research. I'm like, no, you Googled it. It's not research.
Yeah, I had there was a guy I was talking to, and I thought he was a little bit more intelligent than he was, but he has his own Substack. He's got his own blog. He's got a bunch of followers. and he was trying to correct me on something. And the source he sent me contradicted everything he was arguing with me about. And I'm like, where did you get that? Well, you can just go on ChatGPT or Grok, and they'll tell you. I'm like, that's not how that works. Well, that's why I've got all these followers. That's why I make my. It's like, okay, cool, but so we're losing some of these essential skills that got us to this point to begin with. And then let's say, for example, solar flare happens. Grid goes down. Well, now how am I supposed to? I mean, I live right next door to work, but how am I supposed to get out of St. Louis if I can't get back home because I don't have a GPS?
Yeah, I mean, it's also it's funny you bring that up because a horror movie now is the grid goes down and people are helpless.
Yeah. How many people know how to cook on a open fire? I go camping a lot, so I know how to
say I can.
I've cooked steaks and chickens like that without getting sick. But how many people out there, if their ovens don't work or they're, whatever happens, if they can't microwave a Hot Pocket, how are they going to eat?
Yeah, I mean, which is interesting because we've had the prepper conversations and all this, and there's got to be that right balance between embracing the good for what's coming and what's here while maintaining the skill set to survive without depending on it.
And the balance comes down to, and everything, all my beliefs come back to how we conduct our culture at home is you being able to teach, because we're not getting this from public education, but being able to teach your kids or your grandkids or your neighbors or joining a group devoted to this to learn the basics, the fundamentals, so that you have a deeper understanding of how to incorporate and how to make this new technology work versus how to be completely reliant on it because this is all you know. And I think that's why we see a lot of knuckleheads that are young that don't know how to do nothing. Well, if I could just do this the easy way, why would I do it the hard way?
Allison says, I will ride my horse before I get into an automated vehicle. Well,
horses are automated.
You got a great horse, man. A horse, ride the horse all you can.
Horses are smart.
They are. Those are great animals. Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, so I don't foresee myself being in an automated car.
Hope I know.
But when I'm in my years down the road in my old age and I can't drive anymore, that may be the way that I get around.
I could imagine that there should be people that have to have automated cars if they can't pass a driving test well enough. I'm just saying.
Weird times ahead.